Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Brilliant Idiots. And you know who is brought to us by? It's brought to us by the woman who puts the cans in Mexicans.
Oh my God.
I legit thought you were going to read a sponsor. I thought you were going to read a sponsor.
You are sponsored today.
Nature boxes and shit like
No, we got Letty in the building.
Yes,
Letty
it's brought to you by me. Thank you, everybody.
Yo, Letty's here. We got Van.
What's up?
Van Lathan is in the building. We had to bring Van back on. He's our resident expert in all things racial injustice in America.
What?
Okay. And I also have him seated right next to Letty because we know how Van feels about our Mexican friends, our Mexican brothers and sisters.
I do. I love them. And by the way, I've been getting a bad rap and all over town now.
Yeah.
Rap, whatever.
We don't call it a rap. It's called a burrito.
See what I'm saying? All over
Burritos are definitely wrapped well, so it's not a bad
all
rap.
over town, people are coming at me saying that I don't like Mexicans. I would like to squash that right now.
Oh, yeah, squash it.
Joke. I really have no problem with Mexicans, right?
You're asking me? I want to know too.
Say the real reason, Van.
I'm asking you.
Van, say the real reason, Van. Say the real reason. You told me when we were in Vegas, you said you couldn't get anybody to fix your roof and you need to apologize to Mexicans.
Here we go.
Hey.
My thing is, the only Mexican I've ever seen Van around is me. And I think that it's because I'm not full Mexican.
You're not full Mexican?
I'm half Mexican, half Salvadorian. So still Latin.
That's Mexican.
Stop. Don't you dare, white man.
Mexican.
Don't you dare.
Come on. All right, I'm Irish, Scottish, and German. What am I?
You're white, but that's a color. Mexican is an ethnicity. It's a race. It's a
Mexicans.
It's the origin of a country.
Yeah, but to you guys, to everybody else, it's
I'm not saying you're American. I'm saying you're white.
I know, but white is just
I'm not going to
whatever.
say, oh, you're a white guy too.
But you understand what I'm saying. You understand? You right, but you wrong. You right, but you're right. If you're talking to educated motherfuckers, I went to public school in New York City. You Mexican.
Why is it though that like Mexicans get or people from
Oh man, hold on.
You like when I first got
ask a Jamaican who doesn't like being called black or African American.
Is that a thing?
Well,
that's the thing. Jamaicans don't like being called African Americans because they're Jamaican.
Because one, they're not from Africa and they're not from America. Half of you is.
Half of me's from El Salvador.
All I'm trying to find is which half. If it's the top half, I like Mexico. If it's the top half from El Salvador, we need to go there.
I'm trying to get to a deeper issue, man. Is there an issue with being Mexican? Because like if you call someone from Honduras,
there's no yes. Well, clearly, if I tell you, hey man, how's it like in Zimbabwe or whatever, you're not from Zimbabwe. You're from.
How you know?
I would be offended.
How you know that?
Hey, I am from Louisiana.
Well, that's called pride. In our culture.
So now I don't have pride in my culture?
You might not have pride. Now, here's the thing.
Wait, my other comment was, why would you
talk to Zimbabwe?
Me? Do you grab your crotch?
Why do I grab my crotch? Why you look at my dick?
That's no.
You know, first of all, there's a table covering my dick. I got both of my legs crossed.
Legs crossed. You are staring at dick.
You staring at dick right now.
You grasp and you squeeze.
I don't like the way you're pantomiming grabbing my balls right now. I don't like that one bit. I just got
baptized.
I feel you.
I just got baptized.
Yo, no bullshit. Can I just say something? Letty got baptized in a short ass dress.
No, I didn't.
You look like you need a baptism.
That's
what you're dressed like.
Dry. This is what I.
Yeah, but I could see vagina lips hanging out the bottom of the dress.
I didn't even notice that you got baptized in your club wear.
No, I didn't. This is
Lord have mercy.
One is cotton. Girls don't go to the club in cotton. They go to the club in spandex.
Be honest right now.
This is the afterwear. That's why it's not wet. My hair's wet.
So you went to get baptized.
Yes.
Can I ask you a real question? Do you shave your vagina before you go get baptized?
I shave my vagina, period.
So for the baptism, you shave it?
Always baptized. I mean, it's always. Wait. Well, actually, I'm celibate too. So.
What you mean you're celibate?
I'm celibate. I'm not having sex till I'm married.
So you already have a baby.
So
how you had that? Jesus?
Megan Good I think she already had a baby.
No, she didn't.
Oh.
She didn't have any babies.
I'm thinking of Christina Milian.
She has had babies.
Yeah.
So you're celibate again is what you're trying to tell us.
Oh, so you're a born-again virgin?
Yeah.
Commendable.
Okay, what about...
Not commendable.
Let's not judge here. This is not the non-judgment zone.
Letty, whatever you do, I support.
I just want to know...
Understand.
Are all the holes off duty?
No.
So that don't count, really.
Yes, it does, because you're not giving your body to somebody. You're not sharing that part. It's more cellular. That's not a word.
That's not a word.
Cellular.
That's not a word. But
you called me the Mexicans or whatever.
You got the serious ones.
Virgin situation.
I just don't understand how you show up in that dress.
I didn't. I showed out.
What did you wear to it? All right, go do your radio show, then come back. I don't know what baptism is. Can you get baptized, Christian?
That's your exposure.
All right. Vam.
What's up?
Oh, first of all, Charlemagne has a hectic schedule. So Charlemagne, we couldn't get him on the we couldn't get him on this episode, man. We tried. The man's got busy shit. He's all over the place. Right now, we're in Cali. I just want to point this out.
Yes.
We're all in Cali.
Right.
We were just in Las Vegas.
Turned the fuck up.
Yeah, as much as we could. You know, you brought yours. You know what I'm saying? You brought yours. I don't know. Do you talk about that publicly?
I mean, yeah, but the situation is it's not like it didn't hinder anything.
No. We were having fun.
Yeah, we having fun. You were an absolute fucking menace. Oh my God.
See, these are the
things. You were an absolute menace. It was, by the way, I will say something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was the most entertaining night in Vegas I've had in a long time.
This is the after Summer League.
This is the after Summer League. Because we were there.
Okay.
NBA Summer League.
Yeah.
You know, saw all the showing out on the basketball court. We go, so just for y'all to know, like, we get to what is it? Jewel inside of the Aria.
Oh yeah, so Jamie Foxx is hosting a party at Jewel, which is this club in the Aria Casino.
Right. So we go there. We're having a good time. Everybody's turned up. Everyone is drinking.
Mm-hmm.
That was dope. Shit did not get started till we leave. Andrew randomly roasted every motherfucker he came in contact with in the entire city of Las Vegas. Some of it I had to document, some of it I couldn't. Like, this girl standing behind us in the taxi line, and I think Andrew is being a gentleman. He's going to let the girls go ahead of us. He goes, listen, you guys can go ahead of us if you don't have HPV.
He's like, I got no recollection of even taking a taxi.
The look on their faces was like, I was like, what the fuck is getting ready to happen? Then the roasting got progressively worse until at the end you said shit that wasn't even roasting people, and we were still laughing. Like, you just looked at this one chick and was like, I'll just let y'all know the OC is now available on Hulu. The whole thing crazy. The security guard came up to you.
That was the thing. I was in the middle of like a cross section in the hotel where everybody has to just kind of come out.
Right.
And I was just saying random shit, I guess. And I think I saw the security guard like give me a look like she had enough, and no matter what I was gonna say next, she was going to tell me I had to stop harassing the guests.
Right.
So the next thing I just happened to say was a very cordial, hey, ladies, I just want to let you know the OC is on Hulu. And they even were like, oh, thanks. But but the security guard committed to what she said. So she walked up to me all like Humpty Dumpty, not Humpty Dumpty, but just huffing and puffing. And she's like, you need to stop harassing the guests. And I'm so drunk, I'm like, all I said was that the OC is on Hulu.
That's disrespectful. By the way, whatever the guard said to you, I don't even know, because when the guard walked into the fucking frame, it was like my brain was like a moving camera. I lost it. I doubled over and laughed in the corner somewhere. I couldn't handle it anymore because the guard comes up. I'm like, but it was definitely a fun night, man.
Yeah, it was dope, man. Vegas was the shit. We had a good time. We had a Summer League. I'm a huge fan of Summer League.
Right.
I mean, I'm just a ball fan. So, like, Summer League, for those of you guys who don't know, is basically all, like, the rookies, first and second year players and the people who want to make the teams got to come to Las Vegas, and they play against each other.
Unless you were still, like, Karl Anthony Towns.
You don't got to play. Exactly. But D'Angelo Russell, for example, was there. He was playing. And he showed out, yeah. So we go, and you can, for like $10 or $15, you can go watch these games, and you can literally walk up to the front if you want, if you get there early enough. It's like it's a great, I recommend go and check it out.
Yep.
It's like, I describe it like Coachella for like basketball nerds.
Oh, right. Because everybody was there.
Yeah, everybody. And I'll be honest with you, if you're like a 6'5", 6'6" black dude, even if you don't play in the NBA, go to Summer League for those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because there are girls there looking to get.
By the way, it's even easier because I noticed it's the starter groupies.
Yeah, they don't know.
It's the ones just breaking into the game. Like when you're in LA, New York, Miami.
These are OGs. They know
what's up.
Yeah, they know if you ride the bench.
You know, in chokers they got probably from Claire's and shit. You know, they're in there trying to figure out how to get.
That's funny. It's the rookies in the NBA and the rookies of the thoughts. We got rookie thoughts. Yeah. They don't know better.
Come the fuck up if they think you're gonna try to make a roster.
Now, when you're walking through the casino, right? Were you getting looks from some people? Were they questioning? Were they like, do I know this guy?
Yeah, but they know the fucking TMZ.
So they know you from TMZ.
Yeah, so it's not like it used to be before that. But now they know that they're gonna come up to you and go, "Oh man, that was crazy what you said about." So that's what that was about. I don't get any basketball looks like that. Nah. I wish I did though. I wish I did, but I don't. I don't get them at all. I used to, like, especially when I was around my brothers and stuff like that, 6'5", we would say all kinds of stuff, even when I was fat.
Yeah.
I tell chicks I play for the Rams or some shit like that. They don't know.
Yeah.
By the time they know, they leaving, and it's all over.
But that's the beautiful hustle about football is nobody knows what football players look like. Know. Yeah, it's like the Migos.
Right.
Like, I got no clue who the Migos are, and I got no clue who the football players look like. You know, like 5 people per team.
Plus, the football players always don't, I mean, they look like regular big-ass dudes. Yeah. Basketball players, you look at those guys, and you can tell.
Oh, superhumans.
Yeah, they look completely. The football players is like just massive regular dudes.
Yeah.
You know, got bumps on their neck and shit like that. But like when it was me, it was easy for me to kind of do that whole thing. But not with basketball.
Yeah, football looks more attainable. Like you look like you could eat yourself into being a football player.
Right.
But when you see basketball,
they're born for it.
Yeah, it's like I think that's like the next step in evolution. I don't know if we were talking about this, but like I literally think
this,
yeah, these are the guys. Like this is just like we're looking at the future.
It's so
that's the future, bro.
It's freaky when you're there because you see these dudes doing shit, and then you think, oh, you know, I have hot days in my rec league. Maybe I can get on there and get you. Nah.
Though I do think I could score on D'Angelo Russell.
Andrew, you can't fucking score on D'Angelo Russell.
I really think I didn't say I could stop him, but there's no way he could stop me. Come on, dog. You saw how he was playing D. You know,
against NBA, that was against Tyler McConnell. He's going to be an NBA point guard next year.
Okay, first of all, TJ McConnell, I really liked the way that he was playing.
By the way, he showed out.
He showed out, played a great game. Played a great game. I think I have comparable offense. I think I have comparable offensive skills to TJ McConnell. Shout out to TJ McConnell. But I just feel like D'Angelo Russell, and I've been thinking about it a lot, D'Angelo Russell's legs, I think, are too skinny to play defense at the NBA level.
Okay, so what you're saying is he can't stop you.
I just don't.
He won't
exactly.
Stop you. He can't.
Physically,
so if D'Angelo Russell, 6'5", big body, long arms.
But his legs look like razor scooters.
Superior athlete.
Yeah.
If it was $100 million on the
I don't like how you said superior athlete so confidently. Like we're not.
Superior athlete.
No, how he's superior to me? I'll be honest. I don't think he's a superior athlete than you.
No, he absolutely is a superior athlete.
I played with you in the LA Fitness.
I know, bro.
You dropped 8 points out of our 11.
Dog, you play with me in LA Fitness.
That's 75%.
That work at Pinkberry and Safeway, and I'm keeping the game. So you play with me. All of those dudes had to get out the gym quick to go clock in to a job somewhere. I swear, if you get a D1, you don't even need the NBA. If you get a D1 dude on that court, not even a D1 dude, if you get a Division III guy that's playing ball on that court, he is going to look like Jesus.
Offensively,
like a different guy, different fucking guy.
Offensively, D'Angelo was cooking dudes. I respect that. Defensively, he could not stay in front of TJ McConnell.
He also didn't care about staying in front of him.
So you think it's a care thing?
No. Okay, first of all, I think that there's a difference, and Andrew, you know I have respect for your game. I think there's a difference between you and TJ McConnell. I think TJ McConnell.
Listen,
I don't think that TJ McConnell is as funny as you.
Okay, you buttering me up. You hearing this shit?
I'm saying TJ McConnell's been playing basketball his entire life.
This is how you tell your girl that she don't give good head. You be like, listen, you're a really smart person.
Very smart.
You're great in bed. The pussy's tight.
You can cook your ass off,
but you can only get 2 inches.
Got some deficiencies. You know what I'm saying? But no, man, TJ McConnell, get TJ McConnell in that gym when we was playing, man.
Okay, I like his game. I think he's a solid bench point guard. I think he would absolutely make the NBA. I think he'd be an addition to an NBA team.
I think he's gonna definitely get a look this year.
Oh, he absolutely should.
Yeah,
not on the Sixers.
No, not on the Sixers.
Because I liked Simmons bringing up the ball. I thought Simmons was legit.
Simmons, you need to put a scoring point guard with him and just let him handle the ball.
Okay, but do you think that D'Angelo Russell could stop you defensively?
Yes.
Just how though?
What
if you make his ankles?
You don't have.
What if you make use his ankles?
You don't have one athletic advantage over D'Angelo Russell.
Can I tell you one thing?
What?
D'Angelo Russell has the same feet as Oscar Pistorius. That is your athletic advantage. They have the exact same width. They have the same width. So what I'm trying to understand is if you get him moving side to side, it's like in Star Wars where they have those camel-looking robot things, and that's the exact same thing. If you get it wobbling side to side, he doesn't have the ankle strength.
Okay, so here's the thing. When you saw me scoring in that gym, a large portion of me scoring in that gym and getting off on those guys was the fact that I'm about 6'4". I'm bigger than
size advantage.
He's bigger than me.
He's not bigger than you like this. He definitely doesn't have bigger ankles. There's no way his ankles are bigger.
He's taller. He's rangier. He's more athletic. I can't do shit with D'Angelo Russell. It's not gonna happen.
I think you're selling yourself short here.
Nah, I don't think that.
I think you need to believe in yourself.
I think that you're selling yourself long. I think. Listen. I do that. I think. Listen. The Jay Williams thing.
Okay.
For you was probably the worst possible thing that could happen in the entire fucking world. I know it was bad for Jay. I talked to Jay right after it happened. I talked to Jay. I know it was bad for Jay.
I'm the fat bitch with a lot of confidence.
Oh,
is that me? Is that who I am?
You went to the party and for some reason T.I. hit on you. And now
nobody can get the pussy.
Nobody can tell nobody. Fuck you, T.I. hit on me. For some reason,
I only fuck with Rubber Band Man.
Exactly. Because now a bunch of other chubby niggas can't get a look. But you got that bucket on him. And by the way, I say this all the time. Maybe the shot was bullshit. Legitimate cross though.
The cross was there. The cross was there. I bumbled it a little bit, but the cross was there. It is what it is. But we're talking about the future now.
Yeah,
okay, so we have this good time in Vegas. We have this good time in Vegas, but more so than the crazy time we had in Vegas, which was a lot of fun because we got to be obnoxious and not give a fuck and be drunk for a few days. We got into this really good conversation. I think maybe it was even before. It was like maybe 4 days before. This was right after Philando Castile got killed and the video came out. And I texted you almost immediately after I watched the video.
Yeah.
And first of all, it doesn't really matter what I think. I kind of wanted to know your feeling, even though we talked about it. I wanted you to kind of like share that with people because I think there's a lot of people who have emotions right now, but they don't really. Maybe they don't know how to put words behind them or exactly how they feel or what's going on. I think you had like this really great perspective on what happened. I think you got some criticism for it, but you also got a lot of praise. So,
you're talking about in terms of what happened in Dallas?
Yeah, well, not only what happened in Dallas, but also with Philando, and also like just what has happened in the last week, what has transpired in the last week.
Right. I think that it's important for me to kind of for us to kind of look at the entirety of what we're talking about, so we know just how big the job is. When I say how big the job is, I don't mean for black people, I don't mean for white people, I mean for society. Because what we're searching for, and we've talked about this before, is an America that can be as pure as possible, or as equal as possible. Because purity is something that human beings will never achieve.
Yeah, we're pieces of shit.
Pieces of shit. We're not going to get there. And where we are right now is interesting because with so much that has happened, something that my dad used to always say to me, my father used to say that there's three things that are universally understood by people. Fear, love, and violence.
Yeah.
Those are three things that are universally understandable. And right now, we have to kind of examine which one of those things we're going to use to get this solved. Or which combination, how much, which ingredients from each thing we're going to use to kind of get this solved. And we got to be smart because when you look at the moment in history, going forward, these situations can either destroy everything or they can build it up. When you look at it, it's obvious in society right now that to law enforcement, it's easy to kill a black man. It's not even a thought. It's not even in question that it's easy to kill a black man. If you feel in any way that things aren't going by code, by the book, for whatever reason, and even in the case of Minnesota, that was going by the book. You know what I mean? That was going by the book.
Yep.
And he still lost his life. So I think that there's a variety of opinions. Some people want blood, which is wrong. We obviously cannot become the thing that we hate, or else we lose our strength. And really, when I say that, I don't mean that as a bullshit emotional stance. What I mean is there has to be purpose in what we're doing.
Yep.
There has to be purpose, and the purpose is not to prove what we're deserved as black people.
Right.
The strength of our culture is what gives us our identity.
Yep.
The strength of what the Constitution and what exists here in America is what gives us our freedom. Not black people their freedom. Everyone their freedom.
Yeah.
And if we're being denied that, we're not fighting for rights. We're fighting for something that's already guaranteed to us. It's ours. So we're not asking, no one's asking for anything. We're asserting something. So when you ask, you say, hey, we don't have this right now. Can we get it? No, this is guaranteed to us. We're asserting it. We're affirming it. And when we do that, we have to use sort of the collective thought power that we have. Because guns, I don't feel like guns and weaponry and what we saw in Dallas is going to get us there. I think that's something that people do to make themselves feel better.
Yeah. It's I think there's one thing that's like, before your rights, I think that you deserve, as a black person in America, the right, and this isn't in the Constitution, but the right to not be a threat. And I feel like that's what's happening so often with these police officers, is you have a situation where Philando Castile, and that's why it was so eye-opening to me, is this man was in no way a threat.
Right.
He, like you said, did everything by the book. Right. And when you see someone do everything by the book, because in every other instance, regardless of if we think these people were completely innocent or not, they were in some way painted as if they were resisting, or if they were in some way attacking, or they were already arrested, they were doing something wrong. The media at least pushed it that way, or put that on us. But in this situation, you have a guy who's doing absolutely nothing wrong, and he's still threatening.
Right.
And while maybe that's mind-boggling, for a guy like me to kind of see, just because maybe I've just been around people of different cultures enough to like not really be as threatened or something like that, or it's not just shocking. But the fact that a police officer could be threatened to the point to murder somebody with no threat,
right,
makes me, okay, people are viewed differently.
Yeah.
And I have this moment where I text you and I go, fuck, I get it. And I hit Charlemagne, and it was this epitome where it was like, and I felt embarrassed, and I wanted to apologize, not for my opinions, because I still have these same opinions that I feel like are strong, but for not understanding the anger, and I don't want to say the anger, but maybe the opinions of someone like Crystal's, who could come across as bigoted.
Right.
Maybe I don't agree with her opinions on white people, where she makes kind of generalizations, but if you get bitten by a dog enough, or many different dogs, eventually you're going to go, man, fuck dogs.
Right.
And
sometimes, and by the way, sometimes you don't even have to be bitten. You can just see other people bitten.
If you see other people, like, I don't need to be bitten by a shark. I saw the movie Jaws.
Else get their arm ripped
exactly.
Off. So you're not fucking with surfing because you saw her get hurt.
That's it.
So it doesn't need to happen to you, especially if you see it happening to other people.
And when you're growing up and you're seeing this happen to your uncle, you're seeing it happen to your cousin, you're seeing it happen to your friends.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, I can only remember 2 instances of blatant racism. I'll talk about my boy Jamil, who you met at when we were at Vegas. He came out to me in Vegas. I was like, I only remember 2.
Right.
It was one with him and another with my buddy Siddiqui in our whole time growing up.
Right.
And I was like, so to see something like that happen to somebody that was so blatantly innocent, it was just this feeling like, okay, I get the anger. I get the anger where it's like, I even get the, we want blood. Do I think it's right to want to shoot officers? No, I don't think it's right. Do I think it's right that people who might have maybe celebrated the shooting of the officers? No, I don't think that's right.
Disgusting.
It's disgusting, but I understand the anger that could lead you there now.
Sure.
You see, you know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
I absolutely get it. So,
and if you don't understand it, you're just not being a compassionate individual. It's like,
you don't get it. So, and so compassion is an interesting thing too, because compassion is also culturally translatable. Compassion.
What you mean? What you mean by that?
What I mean is that, like, in order to feel compassion for someone, you have to.
Oh, you got to relate with them. Yeah.
So there's a point that, like, brothers and sisters go through sometimes, or go through a lot. Like when you're in college and you're at the height of your like, I call it I had my Timbuktu phase. There was a point where every single thing with me was straight up militant. Let's deconstruct the government. Let's get back down to it. Before I had outlived some concepts and saw some different things. At that point in my life, racism was a very easy thing to understand, because in my mind, what I thought that there was a group of white people who sat around and conspired outwardly to purposely hold black people back. And I'm not saying that in effect doesn't exist.
If it does, I don't know about it. As a white dude, they haven't told us all about that shit. It could be.
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in effect. It exists in a bunch of different other ways.
It's just in a systemic way, but there aren't meetings where it's like, how do we hold these people back? There are things in place which have been in place for history that end up holding people of color back.
Right.
But it's not a conscious effort by 10 white dudes in America.
The older you get, what you see is there's something that's more frustrating. And what the thing that's more frustrating to me is it's completely you summed up in All Lives Matter. In the statement of All Lives Matter.
Yeah.
To me, All Lives Matter is a racial slur significantly worse than the N-word.
Why is that?
It's significantly more destructive than the N-word.
Okay.
The N-word is very easy. You come up to me right now, and you say to me, Van, you're a nigger. I don't want any niggers around here. No niggers allowed. Like, no niggers allowed. That is...
It meant you got to pause for a second and be like, what is happening right now?
Right. No niggers allowed. No niggers allowed. That is almost quaint in how easy it is to understand.
Yeah.
You're white and you don't like black people.
Yeah.
That idea, once it's verbalized, will ostracize you in society to a degree and put you in a circle like Michael Richards and guys like that.
Yeah.
And you don't come back. Even with the people that behind the same...
open racism is not respected. Right. We will ostracized. You will be shamed.
All Lives Matter is something a little bit different.
It's covert.
It's covert and it's in a way the way things work on a day-to-day basis. That shows you the day-to-day basis, the racism that black people deal with, because it's something that says, listen, we're going to completely divorce you from your voice. Yeah. We're going to say, we're going to say that, you know what, you're saying Black Lives Matter. And by the way, never in Black Lives Matter, and the professor that wrote the rebuttal letter to his law students put this, there's not an invisible only in front of Black Lives Matter. Okay. But when they say all lives matter, they're essentially saying, y'all niggas shut the fuck up. They're saying, you're not special. You're not worth anything. What you're saying makes absolutely zero sense to us. It's everybody's lives, not just your lives. You're saying, and they're also saying, when they say all lives matter, what I hear is you guys are always asking for something.
Yes. Question: are you okay with Blue Lives Matter then? Because effectively, it does take a specific group and say that their lives matter.
But do you know what the thing about that is? The statement that Blue Lives Matter is true.
It's reactionary though.
It's reactionary, and it's also something that we all know. We no one wants like cops to be killed. Yeah. What we don't know and what we're unsure about as a society is how we feel about black men being killed. Because there's one section of society that's saying, hey, this is completely wrong. This is like beyond oppressive and racist. And there's another people going, wait a minute, let's look at all this. Yeah. There's another group of people going, hey, black, look at this crime, look at this. There's another people that are trying to rationalize why this is happening. Yeah. So while we're okay, while we're good on blue lives, we know that there's still confusion over whether or not Black Lives Matter. And when you start to kind of take from people like that, and when you start to kind of marginalize them, marginalizing people the way that a statement like all lives matter does, it is so depowering, and it's so it robs you of so much. Sure. It like, especially at a time like this, I'm looking at people, I'm like, as a human being, at a point like this, you can't look at me and just be like, yeah, we might need to concentrate on why this is happening to you. That's when you start to think, okay, if you don't give a fuck about me, I don't give a fuck about you.
So here's my thing about that I don't understand about Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, whatever. I don't understand why it has to be one or the other. I've never understood. So that's my issue. It's like, yeah, it's all. If you're acting like it's one or the other, then that's the problem from the jump. Right. It's like Black Lives Matter. No, all lives matter. Well, if you believe all lives matter in your heart, you believe Black Lives Matter, so why would you disagree with that? It's like a square is a rectangle, whatever that thing is. Right. It's like if you truly believe all lives matter, black falls into all lives. Yeah. So you just go, yeah, I agree with you. I support it.
But you know what? But you know what you don't want to do? You don't want to show solidarity with people who you don't really think are human.
So that's where it's coming from. It's and I'll be honest, I don't think it's
or not that you don't think are human, or you don't want to show if you think that there are latent issues within the black community, and you really have a belief that black men are dangerous, violent, and to some degree a drag on society, why would you want to support something that prioritizes their lives? And because you think their lives are disposable.
I do think that there are a lot of people that do have that feeling. I also think there are a lot of people that truly don't understand the black relationship with police. I think in a lot of ways, and I said this to you, it's like black people's relationship with the police, it's like you've been abducted by aliens. And you're going around to people and you're going, yo, guys, fucking aliens abducted me. Hello. And everybody's looking at you like, there's no such thing as alien. What are you talking about? It's like, guy, chill out. Nothing's happened. And it's almost like when somebody gets killed and shot, there's almost this part where you're like, Do you fucking see?
Right.
There's the aliens.
Right.
Like, why is this so hard? Like, I've been talking about this for a while. Why is this so hard for people to believe?
And it's interesting because, like, beyond the extreme situation of somebody getting shot, do you know how many instances with the police that I could recount to you right now where the cops made it completely obvious just how much they didn't give a fuck about me?
Sure. Philando Castile, 56 times he's pulled over.
Right. And so, but also there are a bunch of other situations that I've had, especially out here with the Hollywood Police Department, the guys who are out there in my community, of guys who are out there doing a fantastic job.
Yep.
They're doing a fantastic job. They're out there and they're policing their communities, right? You know, there's times when I've been pulled over, you know, and I was in the wrong. And but where I'm from, which is from Baton Rouge, by the way.
Right.
The sight of a police officer never, ever
comforts you.
Ever made me feel safe.
Right.
When I saw a police officer as a youth, I ran. I've never been arrested.
And I ran.
Letty, thank you. Letty, thank you for your lack of sensitivity. Listen, first of all, we know it's a lie that you ran because you were a fat kid. So we know you weren't running. We know.
Well. I didn't say I was booking.
I jogged.
I said I ran. You know what I'm saying? I didn't say I ran well.
But you have this relationship where you're afraid, and I think you bring up something very interesting, which is that there's these cops that are really good, right?
Sure.
And the thing that pisses me off about this, like the blue silence or whatever it is, like the
blue wall of silence.
The blue wall of silence is that, you know, there's this perspective like, I don't want to shit on my brothers because if I shit on my brothers, I'm throwing them under the bus, right? The good cops are saying that. I don't want to shit on my shitty cop bad brothers because that's throwing them under the bus. But the way I look at it is those shitty cops are throwing all cops under the bus.
Right.
Why would you let those cops, right, which I hope are the minority of cops, fuck up the reputation of all police?
Right.
Like right now, the police, unfortunately, in this country, by many are looked at as evil, dude. They're the bad guys. That's a marauding police. It's some pie.
It's not like that, but like.
But you know what I'm saying that's the perspective of some, and it sucks that there are people that go out there every day that save our lives. Man, are brave motherfuckers. They lose their lives on the line of duty, and they gotta have this shitty reputation.
Yeah, I mean, I think like essentially
call it out. If you see something shitty, this is what we ask everybody to do. We ask, like, when there's a white racist motherfucker, let's call that motherfucker out. Right. You know what I mean? Let's call out our own. If you see that there's fucked up shit going on in your community, I don't care if it's kids shooting each other in Chicago or gangs in fucking LA. Let's call it out.
Right.
And why don't we ask the exact same thing of police that we're asking? You always hear this all the time on Fox News. They'll say this about like Muslim communities. Why aren't you calling out what's happening if you have information?
Well, yeah.
Let's say it.
If you guys are so peaceful, why not be vigilant against it?
And the second it comes to the police, it's like, well, they have a code of silence. No. Consistency across all fronts.
Like, do we have any clue how disrespectful and dangerous it is for the police to have a code of silence? The reason why, when you talk about omerta or a code of silence, like that's always, anytime there is a code of silence, it's always so that someone can do some inappropriate shit.
And you're supposed to uphold justice.
Right.
So all we want is justice, not only for you, but because think about it. If
we have a bro, between the guys, we have a bro code of silence. Why? So we can do inappropriate shit.
So we can cheat, motherfucker. That's what.
So we can do inappropriate shit and it won't get back. Like there's a code of silence and all that stuff. So things can be hidden. The police are public servants who are there to maintain order. They are supposed to. That's why when even
which many do,
and
we are very grateful.
We are. But here's the thing: like when someone throws in the black on black crime statistics against what's happening between black people and the police, it's disrespectful to cops. And the reason why it's disrespectful to cops is because when you're talking about black on black crime, you're talking about crime. You're talking about criminals victimizing society.
Sure.
It is unfair to police or whatever to compare police, who are the guys who are supposed to uphold the law, to criminals.
Yeah.
The same crime element that everybody else in America is afraid of. Black people are afraid of it too. The only difference is we're forced into situations where it's normalized. If rocks are falling from the sky and you know they're going to be falling from the sky and they're going to fall from the sky every day, no matter what it is that you do, you're going to go outside. You're just going to know how to duck. And so what we in our community,
it's like living in Israel.
Yeah,
you're used to the bombs getting shot over.
It's not that we're not afraid of the falling rocks.
Sure,
we're afraid. We don't want to get caught up in that shit either. We just know how to duck.
My issue is, why is it a comparison again?
It's a comparison so we can move the goalposts away from what's happening.
Exactly. So that's my issue with it. It's the real thing shouldn't be a comparison. The real thing should be a comma and then an and. It's like Black Lives Matter. They matter when there's oppression with police. They also matter within Black communities.
Right.
It's not a one or the other. And oftentimes it's positioned like, oh, yeah, you say Black Lives Matter, but what about all the Black people killing each other? It's like, well, yeah, we actually can care about more than one thing. We have enough compassion in our system to care about more than one thing.
There's something else that goes on is like, and this is, in my opinion, something that like both Black people and I guess society at large has to get a hold of. A certain paternalism that goes on between the Black community and America. We always tend to care about how we're viewed by larger mainstream society. We're always afraid of embarrassing ourselves in front of large mainstream. That you hear the term of like I remember hearing getting in a huge argument when someone said Flavor of Love set Black people back 25 years or 30 years or something like that. And I replied, I was like, did Rock of Love set white people back 30 years? Did like any of the other embarrassing shit that happens does that set them back? No, it's because you care too much about like what mainstream society thinks about you. And the reason why you feel that way is because it's the same group of people you've been trying to please ever since you were brought back over here, and it became institutional, and it became sort of a cultural linchpin of how you get to where you're gonna go. Is you gotta entertain and you gotta be viable to white people. In this instance right here, where we are, we simply cannot care how things are viewed by larger American society. Yeah. We have to be vigilant enough in protecting our lives that we don't give a shit about people pettifogging. We don't give a shit about people moving the goalposts. We don't give a shit about red herrings that will get thrown at us every single day, straw man arguments that are there. We can't even be concerned with them. We can't even consider them. We have to get this figured out. And when I say get this figured out, I don't mean marching and protesting and all that stuff like that. The same intelligent people, the same intelligent mind, the spirits that led us out before we were even citizens in this country, or before we had the rights of citizens in this country, we have to get together and figure out what's going to be done to change the situation in a real concrete way.
Sure.
And I think that's the next conversation that has to happen.
All right, we're going to take a break for a quick second so we can pay some of these bills. This week's episode of Brilliant Idiots is brought to you by MVMT Watches. We love innovation and companies that are changing industries they're in. And MVMT Watches have definitely impressed us with their business and their product. It's dope. Okay, the company started with 2 college kids that wanted to wear like stylish watches, but they're broke as fuck. Okay, so what they basically did is they found a big watch brand, and they found that they were passing huge retail markups to the consumer, and thus Movement Watches was born. All right. They began by selling online, where they were able to cut the middleman out and provide unbelievably affordable prices. Listen, these watches look like they should be at least $500. They're heavy. They have some weight to them. It's not some bullshit, okay? It's not some swatch. It's the real shit, okay? Movement has maintained their price point with watches starting as low as $95. Listen, you young bucks out here, all right? Don't buy the knockoff watch trying to stunt when you can't afford it. You can look great for a great price with Movement Watches. Go to mvmtwatches.com/idiots, and they'll give you 15% off your entire purchase. That's mvmtwatches.com/idiots. All right, now back to the show. I think just to touch on that thing you said about how we, setting something back, right? I think anytime we see anything negative about something, someone who is quote unquote different, we chalk it up to them being different.
Right.
Right? Like, for example, if a girl has an attitude and she's fat, right? It's this fat bitch got a fucking attitude because she's fat. Da 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 da. Right? If a chick cuts you off and she's Asian, this Asian bitch can't fucking drive. Da 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 da. Whatever the different thing is, we chalk up the negativity to. Right. Right. And I wonder if we do the same for positive. I'm not exactly sure, but that's what it's like. I don't know what that is about how our brains work that we chalk those things up to. So I think in a lot of ways that is it. It's like, oh, you see 11 Hip Hop or you see whatever, and there's some people that might watch that who are not familiar with black people outside of these TV shows and go, oh, that's black people, acting that way.
Well, guess what?
But you don't see that. You don't have the same thing with white people that way because white people are looked at as the standard. Right. So they get chalked up into cross sections, right? So that's hillbilly white people. Oh, that's country white people. Oh, that's hippie white people. You know
what gets me about that though?
Yeah,
you're right that happens. What gets me about that is you live every day as a white man or an Asian man, and you realize that you meet white guys who are sort of gangster. You meet white guys who are sort of athletic. You meet white guys who are sort of everything. It doesn't ever dawn on you that might be true of other cultures as well.
Well,
it doesn't ever dawn on you.
I'll be honest with you, it dawns on me, but I don't think it dawns on black people a lot. I think black people, for example, like when there's like a black hipster, right? I think a lot of times he's not, by the black community, he's not called a hipster. He's called, oh, look at him being whitewashed. Look at him trying to be white. Him doing that kind of shit. So it's not only coming from the outside community, there's also coming from within the community, which is, hey, this is how you be black. And if you differ from this at all, then you're being somebody else.
Oh, the game is being played very well. The reason why that is because, like, which is another thing we have to
But it got to start within the community. Like, in order for other people to start looking at a black person being all these different types of ways, that it can't be looked at from the black community with, oh, look at him, he's selling out. Look at him dressed like that and talking like that. He's a sellout.
I think
you got to be like, oh, no, look, that he's just from Connecticut, and that's how people from Connecticut dress and talk. And
I think that in terms of that right there, I can't even understand or explain why we tend to actually I do know I know why. There's a sense of community. Struggle is so familiar to us that it starts to get to a point to where if you haven't struggled, we start to question why you didn't. We start to think what kind of deals did you make or what kind of situations did you go through where you avoided what so many of us.
You turn into a girl looking at a hot chick's Instagram,
right?
And it's like, oh yeah, she had fake eyelashes, she had fake titties,
right?
You know what I mean? But she's not tall.
But to that point, even that is a regurgitation of the definition we hear of ourselves every single day.
Sure, self-fulfilling prophecy.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
And what I'm really interested in is not just black people, but people in general being definitive of self. You have to know yourself and define yourself. You have to know.
And that is not defined by your blackness, meaning if you're from fucking Connecticut and you know how people talked your whole life growing up and you talk like that, and that might be a stereotypically more white way of talking, you're still allowed to be black and talk like that. It's not like this one or other thing.
It's weird because a lot, like, when my parents would talk to me, I would a lot of times I would come in. I was a precocious child. I was emotional sometimes, and I would come in and I would talk to my mom and my dad about stuff. And I remember one time I told my mom about one of my homies who we were coming to that situation in Louisiana where the kid had curly hair and he had the whole thing. And back then, all you brothers out there that's doing y'all thing now, y'all dark skinned and it's great. It wasn't always the case. There was a point where the Al B. Sure niggas was popping to a degree that I can't even, and I wasn't one of them. And I remember my mother looking at me and she goes, listen, son, you got big lips like King David. You got a big nose like Jesus had. Like, God made you. God made you. When you look in the mirror, God is looking back at you. You weren't created on accident.
Yeah.
Like, when you step out, show the world God. And like,
I mean, I don't know where that metabolism came from, but God ain't the devil gave you that shit. The devil gave you that motherfucking metabolism, sweetheart.
That was bad. It had some extra cakes on Jesus, but it's still me. But no, and so what that allowed me to do was to be comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah.
So when you're attacked for your blackness, which you're going to be at certain points, you have to remember that your blackness because it's your culture, because it's your truth. Your truth is in your blackness.
But what does that mean? Like a kid who's listening to this right now who's in Nigeria, what does that mean to him? Or like a kid who's listening to this from fucking Alaska who's black.
His culture is his strength.
Well, his culture is his strength, right? So let's say you're black, but you weren't raised in a black culture. Let's say you were raised in fucking Minnesota around all white people.
Whatever your experience is, whatever your truth is, it's what made you. I'm not saying that it has to be. I'm not saying that.
But do you understand what I'm saying? Like I'm talking about for that kid who, or a black kid who was adopted by a white family, like who has this, dichotomy of cultural identity, right? He has this version of what a black person is supposed to be by society in America, and he has his life and how he was raised. And he has people on this side saying, hey, you're not black enough. And then he got people on this side saying, hey, you're not white enough or you're not whatever this is. So what do those people do? At a certain point in time, the black community has to offer a variety of black identity.
Well, here's the thing. The black community in that case, right?
And the white community has to do that too.
I'm going to give you my opinion of that. In that case, I don't think the black community has to do very much because I think that at some point America will realign that kid's perspective. I think.
In what way? In what way? You mean
what I mean is, if you're a black man in America, no matter how much you try to forget it, at some point somebody's going to remind you, and they're going to do it in a pretty big way.
Okay, but that's not the goal, right? The goal is he should be allowed to. In this ideal society, he should be allowed to go through his life being raised by his Asian parents or whatever it is, living in that household. At one point in time. Are you not beholden to the culture of your skin if you weren't raised in it? Well, does that make sense? That question?
Sure. Well, first of all, let's unpack a couple of things. I like when you say the culture of your skin. There are perceived things like black people are not a monolith. Of course.
But you understand what I'm saying.
I completely get what you're saying. What I'm saying is I'm from South Baton Rouge.
Sure.
I come out to California, and there's some very common bonds, but also some things that I didn't
absolutely
that I didn't get. I think that for the kid in the situation that you're talking about, we have to at some point let people be people. However, I do think that here in America there are very important things to understand about the condition of black people. There are very important things that I feel like, at least at this point, that every black man needs to know and should know about
without
the history of this country and about the trajectory of where we were and where we came. Because we essentially had our entire existence reset.
Sure.
And so
I'm not denying that.
Right.
All I'm saying is, what do we do for these situations where increasingly so, as you see in society, as you see the increase of wealth in the black community, right? There's going to be an integration into wealthy communities. Right. You see a lot of black kids that are raised in.
Well, wealth shouldn't affect your culture.
It depends. If you're moving from an area which has a strong, let's say, tight Asian culture, right? Let's say you grew up in Flushing, Queens or something like that, but you ended up being a doctor and decide to move out of Flushing, Queens and move closer to your practice, which happens to be on the Upper East Side of New York, which is majority white and Jewish. All of a sudden, you're going to be raised around a different way of doing things. Instead of having fucking noodles for breakfast, you might be having a bagel with lox and cream cheese.
Good.
So there's going to be, and I'm saying it's good. I'm not saying it's not good, but at what point in time are you not beholden to this identity of who you are?
Well,
or what your skin color is, not who you are, but what your skin color is.
You should never have an identity placed upon you. There shouldn't be anyone to sort of lay something at your feet that's not you. I think when we talk about knowledge of self, I think the economics of that, who you're around might sort of change your perspective on like your standing in the country. But in terms of like, I don't know how to put it. In terms of who you are as a black man, that should be easy to see no matter where you are on the economic scale. In terms of who you are or what it means to have been black or what it means to be black or what it means to sort of deal with the things that we're dealing with, I think that when people lose touch with that, a lot of times it's by choice. A lot of times it's people that have made a value judgment on what they think black culture is, and they've chosen to reject it. Now, you don't have to dive in the middle of something. You don't have to pretend like you eat chitlins and shit like that.
Yeah.
You don't have to pretend like you was out there. Like, that's even more pathetic. Pretend like you was out there doing something illegal, which, by the way, has nothing to do with black culture, or that you had an experience that you didn't. I mean, the black culture goes from the Huxtables all the way to Good Times.
Sure.
And everything in between. I think there are certain people that think that affluence and success stories shouldn't be a part of the black experience, or they're less authentic in a way. That's ridiculous. That's
no, I'm not saying that at all.
No.
Yeah.
I know that you're not saying
right,
that.
right. But there are people saying.
I'm saying that people think that. Like, I know people that when we're around, certain guys will visit or come by, they'll be rappers or whatever. They'll come by the office or whatever. And when they're around these guys, they try to act like them. The way I am right now.
You're saying there are black dudes that try to.
They try to, yeah, man. They try to act like them.
Yeah.
The way I am now is the way that it's who I am.
Yeah, but you understand yourself, and I think,
Right.
and you're not reaching for an identity. I think
What you're saying is that the community should be more tolerant to people who don't look exactly and sound exactly.
Because it's
like,
happening more and more. Like with the
actually,
internet.
To be honest with you, the internet is giving homogeny to people.
So
to a degree.
we're all dressed like. Let's look back to when we were kids.
Right.
If we saw motherfuckers dressed like these rappers today,
Right.
when we were kids.
Yeah,
If you saw dudes with the pants and you showing your ankles,
Pants is too
and you got like in the shirts of this and everything, like we'd be like, "What the
Why you showing
fuck?
your knees,
Why are you
dog?
showing you?" And I'm a white dude,
Right.
and I'm thinking, "What is wrong with you, fam? Like, why are you dressed like this?" So it's. I feel like maybe we're getting to this place where we're becoming a little bit more open-minded in terms of seeing people with certain skin colors act a way that isn't stereotypically that skin color.
Right.
And I feel like while we should have strong identities in who we are and understand what we've been through, all of us, we should also be accepting of people who were maybe not raised in the same culture as ourselves, even within each community.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a variety of experiences in each culture. The only thing that I'm saying is, like, in terms as it deals with specifically being black, is that when you're a black man, there's part of that, and this is gonna sound really heavy, and
Go.
like, when you're a black man, there's some responsibility in that.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
There are a lot of people that got their asses bust so you can sit there and do what it is that you're doing.
Right.
I don't know how long I feel the need to be respectful to those people.
Sure.
But it exists in me heavily.
Sure.
When I'm standing up in a room, when I'm having this conversation with you, like a white man,
Sure.
and I'm able to speak my heart to you,
Yeah.
someone died for that.
Sure.
Like, someone actually paid with their life so that not so that I could be free, so that I could actually speak my true heart to you, so that I can talk to you about that.
Sure.
And there's part of me that a large part of me, I can't reject what it means to be black because someone died for it.
So you feel responsibility for it.
I absolutely do.
So what does it mean to be black to you?
I think that's a central question that we're all trying to answer.
What is the thing that unites you? Because I really hope it's not oppression, but what is the thing that unites black people, like you said, from the Huxtables to Chief Keef? What is the uniting thing besides your skin color, right? And
Do you know what it really is to me?
What is it?
Triumph over incredible adversity.
So it is adversity.
No. It's not adversity.
Or incredible adversity.
It's not. No. It's, listen to what I said.
Yeah.
It's not the adversity
Right.
that bonds us. It's the triumph over the adversity.
So to that question, we kind of answered why there is this kind of shaming of people who have it good in the black community, in a way, because they didn't have the same adversity. Right? If you're this kid who...
Well, no, but that's only perceived. Because
perceived adversity. Perceived adversity.
And that's where you have to do a little bit more work with people, right?
Sure.
Because if you're...
but it's like with Jesse Williams, it's he's light-skinned and that's why everything worked out for him.
By the way, I know Jesse Williams.
Yeah.
Jesse Williams hoops at the same place that we play up there.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to him in a long time.
Yeah.
But he's talked to me about some of the things that he went through when he was at some of the schools that he went to.
Sure.
Like we've talked about these things.
Yeah.
So if you think that the brother that had it, that went to Harvard or went to the prep school or went to the boarding school, if you think his shit was cherry because he had it better financially, nah, I don't think so. And even if he did, even if he hasn't experienced it, I'm telling you, in my mind, the way I look at things is eventually you have a moment in this country where someone reminds you that no matter how dope your Birkenstocks are, that you's a black dude.
Now, so here's my question: when can black people wear Birkenstocks and it's okay?
They can wear Birkenstocks whenever they want.
When can they wear Birkenstocks and they're not gonna have other black people looking at them like, man, he been fucking too many white girls.
Nah.
you need to let go of Becky with the good hair. You need the fuck out of Sarah. My point is like, and it's a weird thing. It's like our goal, right? Our goal eventually is that you don't have to triumph over incredible adversity. Right. That's our goal. Right. But if the uniting thing with blackness in America is triumph over adversity, do you lose your blackness when you no longer have to, as a culture, triumph over adversity? One day in this in this utopian future.
Right. Let me ask you something. Our homies, the Jews.
Right.
All right, the Jews. I think that there's something beautiful about Jewish culture.
But answer what I'm saying before.
But no, I'm gonna I'm answer it.
Yeah.
Jewish in the Jewish culture, they eat matzah.
Sure.
Do you know why they eat matzah?
No.
They eat matzah because after and I hope I do not.
Half of our listeners are like, yo, Schultz ain't Jewish?
Right.
What the fuck?
Like they eat matzah because, and I hope I'm not getting this wrong, but a girl at the office explained this to me. During the Exodus, when they were kicked out of Egypt, whatever, when they were slaves, they were out walking around and they couldn't make any bread. Yeah. Nothing would rise.
Yeah.
Nothing would rise, right? And so they figured out a way to make these crackers because they didn't have any yeast or whatever.
Right.
Nothing would rise, and that was matzah. So Jews today, during a specific time, won't eat anything that's risen, and they will only eat matzah. They won't eat any bread. They can't eat anything that's risen out of respect for something that happened 3,000 years ago.
Now,
so what we're
come on in.
And we're talking about a smaller group than African Americans that maintains an intense cultural connection, and through pooling resources and through supporting each other to a degree, and through having the highest and utmost respect for what their ancestors have been through, have really been able to see something in America that black people, to a degree, are seeking.
Right.
And that's because they understand what it took to get here. And I'm not saying that there's a point. I'm not saying that there's a point. I'm not saying that like you should hold on to pain, but I'm never going to be fat again because I remember how much it took for me to lose the weight.
Sure.
And those are lessons that I think the black community should know about one another.
Question: do you think maybe the Jews they don't eat the risen bread because they knew that Christ was going to rise one day and cause a lot of problems for them? Do you think that has anything to do with it? Like,
Letty just got baptized.
Hey, we need it.
Just got baptized.
Let's ask the expert.
Letty just got baptized. And you dropped
I'm here right now.
How do you get baptized at, how old are you? Can you say your age?
Yeah,
at 28.
By the way, that's the thing that people want people to not know their real age. That's so weird to me.
Really?
Like, I feel like I don't care if people know when I'm getting old, because, like, I'm going to be Barbara Walters old one day, and you're still going to fuck with me because of what I do.
Wow. We'll fuck with you. Might not fuck you.
Yeah. Hey, there's some guys that are into that.
Wait, there's some guys that are into Barbara?
Yeah.
Who?
If there's guys that are into Oprah, there's guys that are into Barbara.
Oh, Barbara don't got
Both
Oprah's
rich.
money.
She probably does.
Nah, stop playing.
Have you seen Letty's calendar?
Oh, yeah, she showed me.
Oh, I sent you one. I sent Van.
You didn't send me one?
You didn't ask for one.
Well, I need to ask to see you naked?
Yeah. It's not naked. It's not
what is
it? It's not naked.
It's classy.
But
it's
fellas,
classy.
Let me tell you something.
It's classy.
To all the fellas listening,
it's classy.
If you like to jack off, go and pick up Letty's
This girl is celibate, bro.
I'm just saying.
I just got baptized.
But like, she sent the calendar to me.
You were angry just a second ago.
No, it was the calendar was open already.
Yeah.
And I put it on my desk and it disappeared.
Yeah.
So, actually, I
Came back sticky.
Reappeared. So, but have you seen the calendar? Letty is.
No, I haven't.
I saw the last year
You
one.
saw last year. You saw
And you
the
got new ones?
You saw inaugural.
December is nipple month. It's National
Hold up.
Nipple Month.
I always make December like
hottest.
dun 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 dun.
Okay, well, what's National Labia Month?
What does that mean?
I'm all about labia.
Well, actually, there is
I
one.
want to see the
There's
tamale.
a picture in the calendar. It's the one where I have a gun,
Yes.
and that's like a shot that's right there.
And you see vagina lips?
If you look close enough, I guess.
Wow.
I don't know.
Shit,
Tell
is
me.
it physical or can I
fucking
use my
orders
fingers to
just
zoom?
went up.
Hold on, no. Wait, how are you not promoting this like this? I didn't even see.
Because it's art.
I told her no, you're not promoting it at all. I told her lady, you must be ashamed of the calendar. Or
I'm
something
not
like that.
ashamed of it. I just know people that mess with the calendar, they know that time of year they're going to pre-order. They know what it's about because it's not just look at Letty, let's jack off. It's also Letty spins rap lyrics and makes it a picture.
Oh, that's so precious that you think
and
that.
instead
all that does is make us feel less guilty jerking off. First of all, why would you have some dude's words in my head while you fucking naked? I don't want to be jerking off thinking about.
Because girls like me too.
Say what?
Girls like me too.
Girls
for the inspirational part.
masturbate. Girls masturbate.
Yeah.
That was a cocky statement right there. You heard what she just said? Dudes aren't the only one to jerk off to me.
No, girls
Bitches
like me.
masturbate
Girls
too.
like me for the inspirational stuff. There's
okay.
and they can like the calendar for that aspect.
Where can they find the calendar? Let's put that out there.
Well, it's not. It's only available a certain time of year. That's why I don't promote it. It's available
You can find it at jack off to
October. And I only make physical. I don't make anything digital, so it doesn't get spread out online. And then
I want to know what time of year that you put it out, so I can buy stock at Vaseline.
You're disgusting.
Vaseline
In the LA
spiked
region.
this November
In the
with
LA
nipple month.
Let's
get to this.
Okay.
But I did want to say before anything, I am glad that you're here. I love your presence, Van. Andrew, you owe me food.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you food. Real talk.
I was trying to pick your pockets right now, but you didn't even bring food.
I was trying to, but there's no food around here.
There's a vending machine.
I'm gonna buy you vending.
Let me tell you what happened.
That.
Wait, let me tell you
just
what,
got
Van.
baptized.
Van, I told him hey, your entry fee is to buy dinner. You bring dinner with you. You didn't bring dinner.
I was coming directly from SB's after party.
It's done humbly. It's done humbly.
You know what I mean? I'm a very important
also
person.
have an observation I want to make too.
Okay.
Because he was waiting outside on a bench.
Yep.
And the security guards were very calm and collected, and they're very nice.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking of people get called, the cops call. Wait, people call the cops.
Yeah.
On a black man that was just sitting down reading in his car.
Yeah, but I'm dressed. I'm in a suit and I look like Quagmire. There's a different relationship that I have with the police because.
But then I just and then I just started thinking of just worldly.
I could look like a pedophile. Now here's the thing.
Whoa,
this is real
yes,
talk.
you could.
I'll be honest with you. A black dude can sit outside of a school.
You're showing Van
and just chill.
talk, by the way.
Well, I'm showing what?
See?
I'm not
Van's
looking.
not looking. You're looking.
Oh my God, Van looked at Andrew's scratch.
Real talk. Real talk. Real talk.
I'll tell you what.
Letty, stop trying to start
like
shit.
that? Who
Stop
sits
trying to
like
start.
that?
So first of all, we're looking at your titties.
like that?
We're looking at your titties, and now you're gonna make Van look at your titties
Obsessed with
for 3 minutes to remove the vision of my moose knuckle.
He looked because you're
Listen, stop pointing at my dick,
Ain't
Letty.
nobody looking at shit.
Letty?
Ain't what no dick talk to Letty came in here. Is disrespectful.
Dick talk.
I'm just kind of ice break everything because I feel the
You feel
but I
the
think
tension.
sometimes what can help that tension
your breath.
is happiness.
Okay,
Is good
let
times.
me tell you something. Real talk. Black dude is sitting outside of a what is it called? A playground. Nobody assumes he's a fucking weirdo. Nobody assumes he's a pedophile. Yeah. White dude sitting outside of a playground wearing some Dockers.
You look like a
some
dad.
white New Balance.
You could
That's
pass
a
as a dad.
pedophile.
You see that's a pedophile situation.
You would think if there's a white dude, if there's a white man in his 40s.
I'm not even gonna lie. I don't think in terms of pedophile. I never think that guy was. Well, no, that's not true. Because when all went down with Jared, I was like, how did we not know this?
Yeah, if there's a white dude dressed like Jared at a fucking playground and he doesn't have a kid there.
With the glasses and the
if you go, which kid is yours? He goes, no, I'm just watching.
Yeah, it's probably true.
Wow.
Absolutely pedophile. Listen, we all have our stereotypes.
I just had a bad joke in my head.
Say it.
Yeah, say it.
No.
Say it, you pussy.
No, I am a pussy, literally.
Why?
because if I say it, then it's gonna be really mean.
To me,
Is it racist?
Yes.
Van already hates you because you're Mexican and El Salvadorian.
true. What did I
so
do?
it doesn't matter.
But you know why I want to say it? Because you and Charlamagne said a joke about Mexicans, and no
Just
one was
say
in the
the
room
joke,
to back
man.
up Mexicans.
What did we say about Mexicans?
You
First
guys said something.
I don't ever joke
something
about my
happened,
people. That's my people.
And Charlamagne said
Viva la raza.
how many?
Pocos pero locos.
Oh, it was a fight. It was a fight. It was a boxing fight. And then Charlamagne texted you and he asked you like, how many of his cousins do you think that, or how many of his kids fit in the car that they went to the boxing
Oh,
match?
yeah.
That was a Mexican.
Oh,
joke
Khan
you guys
versus
said.
Canelo were fighting, and I said,
And then you said something mean.
no, I said, whoever wins, Trump is going to kick the loser out of the country.
Yeah.
And then because
That
the
was
Muslim guy
preceded
fighting
because
Mexican.
of what
Yeah, and then he said how many
So what's
people
your
fit in
joke,
the car.
though? What's your joke?
Letty, why are you
Why
being
are
so
you
scared,
afraid of
yo?
the goddamn
Yo,
joke,
be
man?
great.
Black guys won't be at playgrounds because they don't even watch their kids.
Oh, it's actually
First
not
of all, first of all,
Andrew likes that. Andrew likes that. That's actually not bad.
I'm sorry, man.
I didn't want to laugh at it. I was gonna stone face you because you didn't
That's not
deserve
bad.
the laugh.
Yeah, it's not
But
bad.
I thought it was a decent
All I gotta say
racist
is,
joke.
Yeah, this is not bad though.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter though, lady. Get off me. No, no hugs.
Once she put those titties on, it's all lives matter.
Exactly. Like, all lives matter. What's wrong with that?
You're right.
Damn, Letty, how you gonna do him? Isn't the father your kid black?
No, he's Peruvian.
He's Peruvian.
Yeah.
How many
I do want a
different-
black baby though. I want a Blexadorian because it'll be Mexican, black, Salvadorian.
It's gonna be black.
But that would be my husband.
Why?
It's gonna be black.
Why do you want a black guy? Why do you want to marry a black guy? What is it about black men that you want to marry them so much?
Passion.
They have more passion than Latinos.
Yeah, because Latinos have a lot of machistaism.
Machismo.
They have like a lot of women stay in your place. You are gonna hold down the house. Not saying for the Latinos listening, I know we're in different times, but just what I felt with my
So you
experience.
feel like Latinos that you know.
You know what I've dated though? I've dated a lot of white men
White
that
boys.
I can overpower. And I think
Really?
that's something traumatic in me.
White boys
because-
got the fattest dicks.
Not at all. Oh no, not. From
That's
my
not
experience.
true. I didn't
Definitely
say
not.
longest. I said the fattest.
Girth?
We're
No.
getting to the
Hold up.
real
You telling me
shit now.
white boys don't got the fattest?
No.
I thought we got the fattest dicks. They look like Tanqueray.
What's Tangray?
You never seen a Tanqueray gin?
Gin?
The bottle is like short and fat.
Letty was over here. It's cool as hell.
Sorry, let me fix something for you.
Here, I just got baptized. Hold on, let me say this.
They look
'cause I
like a
think,
bottle of Patron.
Wait, I think this happens to people. I think.
¿Me entiendes mejor?
Don't
Okay,
do
va.
Okay, so my son's
Okay.
father, Peruvian, very controlling, very the
How
guy
old
that
were
I
you
just
when this-
described.
Yeah.
17.
Fat dick?
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
But he was very controlling. And I could just always feel control in the relationship. So I think I then turned to the complete opposite.
Absolutely.
A white guy that's overpowerable.
When
Right.
it's
So
when
like
you see
I
these-
like control any relationship I'm in now, and I think that's messed up. So I think the great median and everything is a
Really,
black guy.
you control your relationships? How does that
Bad.
even
I
work?
feel
How could
bad
you-
for these
You got
guys.
some big ass titties.
But, do you, how
But
do
not
you
even that. It's
control
just
them?
like I wear the pants. Like I'm the one that ends up.
There should be no pants in a relationship. A relationship is a collaborative thing.
Well, I tend to get the
fuck
guys
that.
that are
I'm
girly
wearing the
guys that
pants,
are
bro.
like
What?
yeah.
You wearing the pants?
You gotta wear the pants.
What does that
bro.
mean? Okay, when
we
you-
got
we-
gender
That the
roles
woman
for a
pays
reason, bro.
more than the guy
Wait,
will
when
pay.
when you say wear the pants, what is it that you mean by that?
It
Because
is-
like I get.
Why are you
I
asking
understand
him if it's
I
a
wear
question
the
for me?
I wear the
I'm asking
pants.
the both of
Why
you
don't you
guys.
why don't you stop
He's
being
not.
jealous?
He's not
You see how
acknowledging.
Latina got
He's not
jealous right
acknowledging
there?
the Hispanic in the room.
Listen.
Okay, when you say you wear the pants, lady, what is
Yeah,
that?
so I said it. So
She
what do you
wears the
ask
pants.
me? Why would
You
you
see-
ask Andrew?
Hold on.
Answer the question.
Hold the fuck on. You see how she just wore the pants with you right there? She got you to take the
Ask
question
me.
away from me and go back to her.
just wore
Don't let her
the
do that
pants with me.
manipulative bullshit.
She played-
Fucking
Shut up, white man!
Play the
I'm wearing the
game
pants.
El Salvadorians all tricky and shit. All right?
What does it mean though? When you say wear the pants, what you talking about?
Okay,
Like,
this is what I
you
mean.
boss
There's like
motherfuckers around?
yeah, it then becomes like I became the guy. I became the one that either provided. I became the one that also controlled. Like,
My dick would not even get hard for somebody like that.
That's true.
Like if I
well,
feel,
then don't date me.
If I feel that controlled, if like so you mean
But
tell
there's
me
also dominatricism or whatever.
I can't even go like play Pokemon Go because you're gonna be tripping. I can't leave.
Well,
the
you
house.
shouldn't play Pokemon Go because
I
you're a
play
black
Pokemon
man, and
Go
that's very
all day
that's a
long.
distraction.
don't give
I
a
hope you know.
fuck. Like
Yo, real talk.
catching
Because
these
last
Pokemon.
week
Letty.
lives mattered, and this week digital things matter.
Nah, get the fuck out of here with that. I can think about my people and my culture all day long. I think about it till my heart hurts. But you know what? I can take 30 minutes and go catch.
How many Pokemons do you have?
I have like, I don't know, I gotta look. I got a lot.
How many petitions you sign?
Petitions, I'm not a petition type guy.
What are you then?
I'm a guy who has mentorships and works with kids and teaches them
listen,
stuff
stop
like that.
explaining yourself. This is when you will need to hit her with a bitch. You need a bitch in a confused face.
I'm about to be a
Bitch,
Peruvian man over
bitch,
here.
I'm out here finding
Shut up,
Charizard.
Letty.
I need a Charlemagne. What is it, Charmander?
A Charmander.
Yeah, Charlemagne sound like a Pokemon, doesn't he?
I got all kinds of shit, man.
Charizard.
Hey, real talk. Letty, I'm being serious with you. I believe in gender roles. I think that
I
we
agree
need
too.
these things, and I think
Like the last guy I dated, I took him out for Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's
like
fine.
that was no, it's not fine. Not when like I go and I pay for the fine dining, I pay for everything.
You can pay for shit.
That's because there's parts where girls want to be girls. Like I want to be taken out. I don't want to take you out.
Look, I always pay. I'm not gonna lie. I always pay for shit. But here's the thing: I always open doors. I do all those things, but you got to paint your toenails. Like I don't believe in chivalry if you don't paint your toenails.
But here's the situation though. Do you when you guys say these gender roles and stuff like that, Letty, do you like live up to your part of the bargain?
Who's he
gender
asking?
role? I'm asking you. Do you live up to your part of the bargain? Because the gender roles.
Yeah, I do.
Because to me, the reason why the gender roles thing doesn't work anymore is because men are still.
I make a
expected
very
to
great.
be 1955, 1960s guys.
And so are
And
women.
then when you ask a woman to do something, she says, "Fuck you, I can do it."
That's my
I'm
feeling.
very great at being a girlfriend.
But do you paint your toenails?
But there's no.
Yes.
What are they painted right now?
They're red.
Okay, so you'll get a door open for you.
Yeah.
My issue is when girls don't want to paint their toenails at all. But because here's the reality of the matter:
Have you had a girlfriend and then she got bushy?
She got bushy.
Yeah.
I don't really mind people care that much. It is what it is. It's nice to have a shave, but it is like look. I like pussy. I don't give a fuck. There's hair that comes out. That's not my
Okay,
issue.
would you go down if there was hair?
Yeah, I eat pussy. Like I just don't want hair in your butthole.
What happens to the hair that
I just don't like
is down
butthole
there
hair.
when
If you
you're
got
eating?
pussy hair, I don't like hair all on your lips. Like don't have hair covering your whole shit.
Once you've gone,
I don't have hair on my dick head. I hate when girls make that comparison. It's like, well, we go down on you. Yeah, my dick comes off of my body.
Yeah,
your
but that's
pussy
not
goes
something
in.
a girl can help either. Like a girl
Yes, you
can't
can.
help where she has
Take
hair.
a chic Quattro and fucking streak it up that shit and get it out the way.
I
If
need
you
a
want us to
tinkle.
eat box, say again. Why you need a pee? Oh, you need to see if it is what it is. You just told us you got to shave to go to the.
Just left the room.
See?
To make sure that her shit was tight.
I mean, she needs to look. She told us she got to shave to go to the. What is it called again?
What you talking about?
What is it called when you go to
The
get Christianed? Not Christians.
Talking about the Baptist.
Baptism.
Shave.
Bro, I did ask because you going in the water, you're going in the pool. You know, I don't know how that works.
Oh my God! That's got to be disrespectful to the spirit in some way to shave your.
What, to shave your vagina before the baptism?
Yeah, because at some rate, that's got to be disrespectful to the spirit. That can't be right.
I don't understand what it is. I have no clue. I don't even know. Were you baptized?
Yes, I was.
Okay, what does it mean to be baptized? I have no fucking clue what this is.
You're baptized in the holy water. Your sins are cleaned, and you
Okay.
are officially born again.
So
Now
you
are
get.
ready to.
How do you make the water holy? Is it like Finlandia?
Blesses it.
So a priest blesses it.
The water is holy water is water that's blessed by a priest.
Okay, is California in the position right now to be
You are, bruh.
to be messing with the water?
Don't be
Does
here calling out the
California
Lord, dog.
have enough water to be dunking
Don't be
Mexicans?
over here
These are
calling out the
full-grown
Lord, bro.
Mexicans.
Oh my God.
Letty's a full-grown woman.
And you can't drink it after she's been in it.
That's an extra tub of water. A little baby is a
But
little.
you know what? Sometimes though sometimes they don't dunk you in the whole thing. Sometimes
Letty's whole head is wet. Her whole
it
body
is,
got
it
put
is,
in
it
that.
is wet. But
She got
sometimes
her.
they just take the water and pour it over you though. Sometimes they don't dunk you.
All I'm saying is I don't know if California is in the what is it ecological position to be.
Andrew,
I don't want to say wasting,
Don't challenge
but
the Holy Spirit, bro. Don't challenge the Holy Spirit in here. Don't make me start preaching to you,
bro. Okay,
Andrew, are you religious?
I am. I was raised with no religion.
Okay.
I like a lot of things about religion. I think there's just basically two to three things wrong with every religion. I think religion needs a new operating system. I think it needs an update. I think they just got a couple things wrong. I think the whole
your opinion, just
gay marriage or just being gay in general.
Yes.
I just think they got it wrong.
Right.
And I think you got. And my view about religion is this is just like. This is man's interpretation of God, right? So if man can flaw, right? If we are made as a flawed individuals and we make mistakes, we can make mistakes in interpreting what God wants.
Absolutely.
So I don't think we have to even. I think we just got to acknowledge, hey, we fucked up about the gay shit.
Right.
And that's what it is. I don't think there's anything wrong with being gay.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with being gay either. I don't think that God creates mistakes. I do think though that a lot, and I'm not gonna get into the whole religion thing.
You think there's something wrong with being Mexican?
I don't.
Look, I'm with you. I think that I understand what you're saying.
Well,
No,
I think that a lot of what we're talking about, not even one specific religion, not even for me to proselytize to you or anything like that. But I think a lot of that's going on today is like we're losing our souls. We're losing the sense of respecting one another on a level. And this is not to say that things were any better at any prior point.
Sure.
But I think as we sort of get more disconnected, there's a certain thing, like there's a humanity missing. There's a chip missing from all of this. Everything that we're talking about, there's a situation missing where someone just goes, wait a second. Like when it went down in Dallas and the guy shot up the cops and stuff like that.
5 cops killed, 11 shot.
5 cops killed, a bunch of people. I tweeted something out and I said, this guy's done damage to the cause that we're fighting for.
The cause is?
And the cause is Black Lives Matter. The cause is preserving and protecting the lives of our black men and women.
Sure.
Black men and women. Our sisters are integral to everything that we're doing. Our sisters are absolutely the black woman is the backbone of the black community and has been that way. We gotta step it up as brothers. So when we say black lives, we mean the lives of the Sandra Blands in this thing as much as the Alton Sterlings. That's very important. But what I was saying is like it doesn't seem that like I didn't get as much outrage that this happened at a Black Lives Matter protest march on my timeline as it should have been. I thought that there were one too many people getting emotionally involved and praising the actions of this guy. Like that was in no way a positive. If you want to continue to do stuff, if you want to continue to act out emotionally, stuff that just makes you feel better and doesn't actually change the conversation or push forward the narrative, then continue to do shit like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that people are not angry. I'm not saying that people don't find ways in anger to do things that are abhorrent. Yep. I'm not saying that people haven't been pushed to levels that they haven't been pushed to. I don't think people understand what it's like as a minority to watch somebody die because they're you. Yep. To like watch someone die simply for being you. I don't think people get how that happens.
I don't understand it.
Last week, one of my homeboys from Louisiana called me, and there's a club in Louisiana, athletic club. It's all white, and this guy is a white guy. Okay, and he was telling me the story of how he was challenging. He was reading a letter to me, and he's challenging these guys in Baton Rouge about the fact that they've never had a black member. He's challenging them about the fact that the club, which is just so older guys can get together and play sports. This guy's a really great soccer player. That they had never had a black guy in the club in the entire time. He's like, I don't get this. This doesn't make any sense. And this is a guy I've known since I was 11 years old. He fought very hard to get into this super exclusive sports club. And now he wants some black guys in it. It doesn't make any sense to him that any black guys in it. He's telling me this story. And in the middle of it, I broke down and cried. And the reason why I broke down and cried was not because this is my friend. So I like the reason why I broke down and cried, it wasn't because like I felt great that a white dude was doing something for black people. It was just because it felt good to know that not everybody looks at me as something less than. For one split moment, because you start to think, because you talk to people who are completely logical and they go, wait a second now, like, let's look at this guy. Let's look at who he is. And you're thinking, no, just look at me and say, that's not right. Sure. Look at me and say, like, you're worth a little bit more than that. Sure. Because if not, you're adding to a narrative that seeks to kill me. Sure, sure. And the first moment that I wasn't hearing that, it just realized how much of this I've internalized. So when you're asking me, is it out of the realm of possibility that certain people that might have mental issues, or this guy was in the military, might explode, but that doesn't make him any less of a piece of shit. A disgusting murderer.
Yeah.
A man who took out innocent people. A man who, by the way, put the Black Lives, the protest in danger. And now whenever we have any type of demonstration, any type of movement, we have to worry about this. We have to worry about all kinds of things. It was a monkey wrench. It was not effective. It was wrong. And just the way we want white people to call out the fact when we have to be
you got to call
out the same thing.
While I agree with your sentiment completely, there's only one thing that I disagree with, and I've questioned whether I should say this or not. And I want to preface it. I don't ever think it's right to kill. I don't ever think there may be times to kill bad people, this, that, the other, whatever. But this was not right. You should never kill these innocent people. It was absolutely wrong, deplorable. We cannot do it. Unfortunately, and I say this, unfortunately, people respond to violence. And we are humans.
I said earlier, yeah.
And it is, like you said, it was love, fear, and violence. And unfortunately, I think that will make change. And it will be very interesting to see the way that history looks at this guy. And I think it will make change for a couple of things. One, I think that it was this moment of awakening where people realize, oh shit, black people really are upset. This is not a Twitter thing. This is not an Instagram thing. They're upset when this guy kills some cops. And not only is he so upset that he do it, but there are some black people that are like, hey, look, we've been shot at for a long time. They kind of put their hands up in the air like, hey, this shit kind of happens. And I feel like in a way, if you notice right afterwards, all of a sudden, the mayor of Dallas comes out and says that there are racial implications to the murders of black people by the police in this country. Right. The governor comes out. Minnesota's governor comes out and says that black people are policed differently. Obama goes to Dallas, and says publicly, black people are policed differently, we need to do with it. All of a sudden, you have all these people that are stepping out and actually saying that black people are policed differently when they were very quiet and mum before. The only person I can really remember saying anything was Bernie Sanders during the presidential election.
Obama's spoken in the past about these issues.
He has spoken about, but not ad nauseum. Do you know what I mean? Not in crazy. He said stuff like, my son looks like that person with Trayvon.
He's in a tough spot as the president.
I'm not questioning his dedication. In no way am I questioning. All I'm saying is, the second that happens, now you see police officers who have a dangerous job because they could be in an interaction where they say they pull you over and you have two priors, you don't want a third, you got some in the car, and then you buck off and then they could die. That's different than I could just be walking around and someone shoots me.
Right.
Like that is, now they have fear, which is the other thing. Right. They have fear that could happen any day. We need to change this.
They already had that fear. If they weren't petrified of black guys, then they wouldn't be killing them. The reason is
they weren't petrified that black dudes were going to come up to them out of nowhere and kill them. They were petrified that they could pull a black dude over and then something harmful would happen to them.
You know what happened?
But that's different. Those are different things.
I get you. What happened based on that irrational fear is we're losing a lot. We're losing lives where we shouldn't be losing them. I don't want to come across as a pacifist. I don't want to come across as someone who doesn't believe that there are times and have always been times in American history, in the history of the world, should I say, where you just go no. Mm-hmm. What I'm going to say is, in no way, in my opinion, was that a positive.
Absolutely.
And I get that that's not what you're saying. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is, if we're looking for a situation where we devolve into all-out war, or where we become the thing that we most hate, which is the most interesting thing that I think about the war on terror. The war on terror in America has always sought, the goal of the terrorists is to make us into liars. The terrorists can't blow enough shit up to take down our economy. They don't have the capability. They can't blow up enough shit.
They want to affect our lifestyle.
They want to believe that we're not who we say we are.
Sure.
And the more successful they are, the more we fall into that trap. Now,
is that from observation or is that from a terrorist explaining what they?
It's from observation. The reason why is because every time we shred the Constitution and every time they see what they feel like is the ugly side of America. They see imperialism,
and we see what we feel like is the ugly side of them.
Well,
absolutely
right. So what they want to do is they want to make us scared enough to show the rest of the world who we really are. Like, and so what anytime you have an action like that, you're using fear to get to the core of something, and you can't in this situation get to the core of what we're trying to do with fear.
Dude, I'm with you. I don't think it's good to use it, and I wish that we kill it, and I hope in the future that we do not. Let me point that. I really hope that that's not the way. But fear is an effective tool, and violence are effective tools that are used by organizations that happen to be effective. Yeah. I don't want this to be the case, but the mafia uses what? Fear. And it worked for years. And then you know what the U.S. government used against the mafia? 25-year sentences for racketeering. Yeah. And you know what that is? Fear. Right. Fear ended up working. And it just sucks that that's the case. But I immediately saw that. I knew after this happened, I was like,
but Andrew, it's the fear that's killing us.
One thing is great.
Look, I'm with you. I'm with you.
It's the fear. It's the fear that's killing us. Listen, bro.
I'm with you. It's wrong. But it's like you got to compare it to like nothing happens in Congress, right? Mm-hmm. Because they don't have any fear for urgency. Okay, we got to take a little break, pay some more bills. This week's episode of Brilliant Idiots is also brought to you by Touch of Modern. Are you ready to upgrade your lifestyle and leave boring behind, all while getting the best prices on the web? TouchofModern.com has all the latest trends across fashion, tech, decor, and the best prices anywhere. Touch of Modern connects directly with top designers to bring you timeless and unique products. Each item has been hand-selected to grab your attention, like the smartphone breathalyzer by Flume, a breathalyzer that fits easily into your pocket and measures your blood alcohol concentration right on your smartphone so that you don't have to drive drunk. Or the Anywhere fireplace, eco-friendly design stainless steel sculptures that emanate rich heat into your home without wood or soot. And Touch of Modern guarantees that they have the best prices online. With loads of new sales launching every day, TouchofModern.com is the one website to discover and improve your lifestyle in a single click or a single touch. Because there's a Touch of Modern app too. That's right. So right now, our listeners can get immediate access to these deals when they sign up at touchofmodern.com. That's touchofmodern.com. Do it today because tomorrow it'll be different. That's how life rolls in the fast lane. All right, back to the show.
You think that white America needs to be afraid of a black American uprising?
No. I don't want to promote that in the least, and I don't think that's. No, I want to find whatever.
We're talking, but I think what America needs to be.
Absolutely. Put it this way.
They need to be concerned with black American solidarity.
How about this?
We can control our economy.
But they're banking on black America division, just so you know. Like they're banking on, and this is something that happens, period. Like I was talking about, like even in, let's say, the prison population, right? Mm-hmm. Where everything's divided by race, white, black, brown. If the blacks and the browns knew that if they united, they'd actually be bigger than the white population, they would have more power. But the white population banks on the fact that these two are going to go at each other. Their numbers departed are smaller than what we are together. White people will always be united with each other. There's a pride and sense, and they just make sure to do that. Whereas we just can't stop fighting with each other. We can't unify.
Well, we're fighting for scraps, right? So the resources, we've never had access to the resources.
Do you know what's crazy?
White people don't have any organization where they come together. Like,
well, Italians, no, let me explain to you spirit.
As a white person, there is no spirit to whiteness.
You're not white.
Trust me when I tell you this. Italians fuck with Italians. They don't like Irish people. Mm-hmm. Irish people fuck with Irish. They don't like fucking Italians. Jews like Jews. Some Jews are Arab looking. Some Jews are Russian looking. Russian fuck with Russians.
I think it's an error though.
There's
You'll have an alert if someone that is not white comes in, whereas if someone that's white, you won't have that alert.
Do like white people see Mexicans or blacks coming up, and then all of a sudden the Russians call the Jews, and the Jews call the Irish, and the Irish call the Italians, and they go, guys, let's have a meeting like in fucking Batman, where they figure out how to stop it.
Something subtler happens. It's like it's not that overt, but like when I walk into a room, like I assault the room with blackness. I always say that I assault the room with who I am, and not necessarily.
That's your mentality. You got to get out of that, bro. That's gonna hold you back. That mentality.
It won't.
It will, man.
I'll tell you. You know why it won't?
It will. You know why it won't,
man? Yeah. Because that assault is my strength. That like it won't hold me back because like there's when I walk into a spot, I understand that. I don't have any misgivings about like my strength is in my culture. I have an affinity and a respect for your culture. My strength is in my culture, so I assert it. I will never. No matter what I achieve in life, dog. No matter what I achieve in life, if I go on to become the president, I will never be anything better than a black man. Being a black man is the dopest fucking thing
so
in the world.
As long as you're walking into the room thinking that there's nothing wrong with that, and even though you're assaulting them with blackness, you don't think that they think that's lesser.
No. I think that some of them do, and I think that, and I think that what the point when I say that is it's a figure four leg lock. There's no escaping it. So what I'm saying is there's assimilation it's futile. Right. It's impossible to try to do that because if you're a Jew or if you're Irish or if you're whatever, they have to invest into you to learn what that background is. They have to ask questions. They have to figure out why you're different. I'm different when I step through the door. Doesn't mean that everyone when I step through the door goes and hisses at me and whatever. It just means that when I step through the door, there is an indicator of difference. There is an indicator that there is someone who is different. To me, a lot of people get bummed out about it.
But you find strength in it.
I fucking dig it, dog.
Okay, and that's your way of dealing with it. I will say this once, and I truly think that besides not getting killed by the police, white privilege is I don't have to think that I didn't get something in an opportunity or I was passed up on because of my race or if I was pulled over or I was treated in any way because of my whiteness. And I truly find that to be white privilege because it leaves me no excuse but to work harder than everybody to get what I want. I'm not saying that. No,
I get it.
But I have a friend, for example, and I have a couple friends. One of my friends is an Asian dude, and
I hope that you have a couple friends.
I have a couple friends. Yeah, still. But Asian dude, and you met, and I'm not going to say his name, but you met in Vegas, and he's a vice president of a basketball team. He'll be a GM. He might be the fucking head of the NBA one day, right? And I asked him.
This dude is a dope person, by the way.
Great guy. And I asked him, I was like, do you think about that when you're in situations? Do you think about, your race holding you back? And he goes, I have to not. I force myself to not because it will give me an excuse. Mm-hmm. And once I have an excuse for not getting the job, I won't work harder to get it because I'll have someone to fall back on for my failure. And I asked my boy Jamil, I asked the same thing. I was like, do you feel these things? He goes, listen, I understand that there might have been situations in my life where I maybe didn't get a job because of my blackness, or I maybe didn't, get an interview or a second interview because of my blackness. But I tell myself, I promise myself that I don't bring that up so that I can just earn things and I can know that one, I earned it on my merit, and two, that I can work harder to get these. And these are two very successful individuals. Sure. You very successful. I can't knock it, but it's one thing that I wish that. As a white dude, maybe it means nothing to hear this coming from a white guy, but I'm telling you, if you can find a way to ignore that, right? To ignore that aspect in the dreams that you hope to reach, you'll leave yourself no excuse for failure and you'll have no excuse but to work so hard that you get it. Because getting to the top, maybe white people have an advantage getting their foot in the door. Absolutely, right, in terms of jobs, or maybe getting to the middle. But being Michael Jordan or being fucking Tesla, the dude that owns Tesla, Elon Musk, being any dude, the CEO position is so hard to get to. Mm-hmm. Privilege is wiped out. We're talking about the 0.0001%.
Would you say that being president of the United States is the 0.001%?
In my personal opinion, I thought Obama was just that much better as a president. It wasn't his blackness that got him there. It's just he was better as a candidate. He beat them off of merit. And motherfuckers were looking at this guy, and they might have had prejudice towards black people, but he was so dope that they were like, that's the dude.
Okay, so was Bush 1 or Bush 2 dudes who came from incredible, because
absolutely,
when we start, there are very few self-made presidents.
Sure.
It doesn't happen very much.
Sure.
My point is, like,
you're talking about legacy, and I will be honest, in terms of legacy and nepotism, which I do see those situations.
Define that word.
Nepotism is just your dad got the job, so you get it, right? So it's like, so basically, when it comes to being a president, in a lot of ways, unfortunately, it's a likability contest. When it comes to running a company,
who would you more be willing to like? Someone who looks like you and has what you think is a similar background to you, or someone whose very existence seems to countermeasure everything that you think is a big deal?
I get it, and that's why I'm saying being a president is a little bit different than meritocracy in that regard.
Well, there's no such thing as meritocracy when we're talking about barriers to entry, because
it's what I'm saying is this intangibles. I'm talking about when you look at like sports, for example, is the great meritocracy. It's like it doesn't matter what color your skin is.
But being a point guard on the Bulls and being a Fortune 500 CEO are two completely different things.
But But that's the reality. Are they right?
They absolutely are.
But the GM for the GM for the Toronto Raptors, Masai Ujiri, African dude, is a beast, and he has taken this Raptors team and brought them to the Eastern Conference Finals. Took 2 games off the champs. When realistically, basketball players don't even want to fucking play in the NBA, and he did that with skill. And if you don't think other teams are noticing that skill, and that skill is breaking down barriers of entry, you're not being honest in this situation.
I think that barriers of entry can be and will be broken down, but I don't want to pretend that they don't exist. My thing. I'm
only talking about barriers of entry to the 0.001%.
Listen.
The fucking Andrew, top of jobs.
Anyone who's ever been excellent at anything, excellent at anything, there's a talent component that goes into it.
Yeah.
There's a talent and a hard work component that goes into it. Every single person that's ever been excellent.
Maniacal work ethic.
There's a maniacal work ethic and a talent component. There's also a situation to where when we start to talk about what about when people aren't excellent? How far do the not excellent people go?
I'm with you on that.
That is what essentially defines equality.
Sure.
Because like George W. Bush was a C student.
Yeah.
Who never succeeded at anything.
Absolutely.
And he became the most powerful man in the world because of systematic privilege that a black man could never enjoy.
Two things. He was the most likable of all those candidates, regardless of your politics. I personally didn't think that he was a good president at all and wouldn't vote for him if I had the opportunity to at that time.
Right.
But in terms of likability, he is more likable than Al Gore, and people related to him, like you were saying, more than Al Gore. Al Gore is just, unfortunately, just not a very charismatic person.
He's running for, but he's running for president. George W. Bush is running for president because of what Prescott Bush and those guys did.
Absolutely.
Way back in the day.
Absolutely. And that's why we can't use president.
And the reason is because he never really even had the grades to get into Yale,
sure,
to get into war, to get into all of these places. He really never had the grades. He wouldn't have gone. But my point, that was just an example that I used. My point is, for me, I'm arrogant, right? I'm arrogant. Like, I think very highly of myself.
Yep.
So I don't make.
What are the qualities of an arrogant person?
What are the qualities of an arrogant person?
Just besides thinking highly of yourself.
I think that everything, me personally, I don't think that there's anyone doper at me than anything that I put my mind to.
But I don't think that makes you arrogant as long as you can back it up. I only find arrogance is when I only think we call people arrogant when they're more confident than we think that they should be.
My point in saying
I think you're just confident.
Yeah, my point in saying that was I would never even admit it to myself if I thought that there was something about me that was holding me back for something. If I thought that I would never even say, I wouldn't give anyone else the footing over me to say, I don't feel like I got this because of this. I would find a different way to get it.
How are you with your bosses?
It's interesting.
Because if you're arrogant, if you're like that, if you don't give someone
they respect it,
authority to
it's their shit, but they respect it. It's a pretty open, free flowing place. They respect it actually, but what my point by saying that is, everything that you're saying, it makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't make any sense to me to pretend things aren't the way they are. And this is for black people. Black people have to be, to me, black people have to be completely okay with setting a standard for themselves.
Which is?
What I mean by this is, like, we have to have a completely self-contained standard. Meaning we have to find each other beautiful. We have to find each other smart.
Yeah.
We have to find each other talented. And I'm not saying that we have to do this
because love is the answer.
No, what I'm saying is we have to do that, and that has to be good enough.
Sure.
That has to be good enough.
Sure.
It has to be good enough that we get the fuck out of here. It has to be good enough that we do all of those things. And we have to stop seeking approval from people out, because when you seek whoever you're seeking approval from is dominant over you.
Yeah.
Whoever you're seeking approval from. That's why I don't go for that. That's why I don't go for that, like, wearing the pants shit. Like, whoever you're seeking approval for, whoever you're asking permission for, is dominant over you. So when I walk into a room, I'm doing my fucking thing.
Yep.
I'm doing my fucking thing. But I'm not gonna pretend like I'm not black. I'm not gonna pretend like they're not notions, because these are things that
you don't have to pretend you're not black, but you can not chalk up. You can not ignore your blackness. You don't have to ignore your blackness. You don't have to do this at all. But what you can do is go, hey, I did this interview and this is what I do. And if I didn't get this job, I'm not going to say it's because of my blackness. I'm going to say, okay, they didn't like my presentation. I'm going to come back next time with something so fucking undeniable that the head of the KKK would hire me, because at the end of the day, he wants his business to work and I'm the best fucking option that he got.
Andrew, what you're saying is absolutely true. But here's the situation. My brother went to Stanford.
Yeah.
My brother went to Stanford. He went to Morehouse undergrad, then he went to Stanford Law. And this guy is the smartest guy that I know.
But does he also want to build a wall between here and Mexico?
You know what? I actually understand Trump for that.
This guy is the smartest guy that I know.
Okay.
And he's so smart that I never thought I would hear some of the things that I ended up hearing from him. He goes out to work at an investment bank in New York City. At first, he goes to work for a big law firm out in New York called Skadden Arps, and he works there in mergers and acquisitions for a very long time. It's pretty successful. Decides he wants to get into investment banking, and he goes to work at a huge investment bank. I'm not going to burn him with his former, employees there. After a while, as intelligent as smart as he was, he became bitter. And the reason why he became bitter was because there was something extra, meaning he was working the hours. This is from him. I wasn't there. He was working the hours. He was putting it in. But when he would get amongst the people that he had to impress, because they're gatekeepers,
Sure,
and they're key holders,
sure,
and they open gates to familiar faces. With like when he felt like
that's a dollars and cents business, bro.
If
you make the money, they don't want to lose you. It's a very simple thing. If he's making the money, they will do anything they can to not lose you. Unless his job, he's not monetizable. Unless he can't prove his worth through the amount of money he's made the company.
Right.
Then you're in a vulnerable state. But if you're simply just getting a commission check.
I'll tell you exactly what he told me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you exactly what he told me. He said there are the guys at the top of this building, at the top of this business, that are so fucking good at the math. They're so fucking good at the math that you put them anywhere and the math is truth. He says they're 1% of this. They're 1% of this. Everybody else who's making X amount of all the guys who realistically become, it's a combination between being good at their jobs and being good at drawing clients.
Yeah.
And he said for me, it's a little bit different in attempting to draw these clients.
Sure.
And I'm finding it much harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
Simply because these guys are 65 and 70-year-old white dudes. And he looked at me, he's like, how do I beat that?
You got to be better.
He said, okay.
Be better than these motherfuckers.
Andrew, I love you. You're speaking whiteness to me right now, dog.
I know I'm speaking whiteness, and I know it means nothing when I say it. I'm aware of that. Don't get me wrong. I know I'm speaking to a void.
No, I'm not saying that your this is the frustrating thing. I'm not saying that your answer isn't the right answer. I'm saying that your answer isn't an answer.
I know
that exists for real.
I know, dude. Okay, maybe not that it doesn't exist for real, but I know it's coming from a place where I don't know this experience. Right. And
yeah, but I don't even want to make it that simple, because at some point we have to get to the point where that's true. But the reality is, and I don't know shit about what he was talking about. He might have been up there fucking around. I don't think that a dude that had gone through, who got JD from Stanford and all of that stuff like that, and had kicked ass at this law firm, I don't think that he would be fucking around. What I do know was that they broke him. They broke him. He got there and got into that situation, and the most determined, the smartest guy that I know was broken by the fact that he felt like they wouldn't accept him. So sometimes when we get in the middle of these discussions, it's important for people to believe that I think Black people need to know we need to concentrate on creating our own wealth, concentrate on appreciating our own.
But what about what you just said? Fuck their acceptance. Don't give someone that power over you. Just go. Put your fucking head down. Grind to the point where motherfuckers have to respect you, and they have to respect. And then when they do, gives you your acceptance, tell them to fuck off and start your own company.
Well, you do that. The way that you do that is by setting your own standards, by not adhering to a standard,
absolutely,
but creating a new one. Like when
break this shit. Break
it. Exactly. Whatever standard is currently not working for you, realign it. Make a new standard.
Go in there. You see these 75, 65, 70-year-olds? That's what I do every single fucking client. I know you see these 60, 75-year-old white dudes, and now you feel more comfortable with them because you're a 60, 75-year-old white dude. Well, you know what? You're all fucking old. I'm young. I know how this business works. I'm going to make you more money than all those guys who are about to retire in 3 years are going to make you because they're done with this business. And fucking drum up so much goddamn business. You make so much fucking money that these guys can't help but make you partner because you'll threaten to leave. You go, you know what? Every other firm is asking me to come. So you either make me fucking partner or suck this dick.
I'm going to ask you a tough question.
Talk to me.
If it's that simple.
I didn't say it's simple.
Hey, wait.
I did not say it's simple.
Not simple. If it's that cut and dry, and like, why isn't it happening?
99.9999% of people don't have that instinct in them.
Okay, but why isn't the 1% of black people?
It does happen to them.
Not in this arena.
It does, absolutely.
Not in this arena.
What do you mean? In what arena?
Well, I mean, it happens in the NBA. It happens in entertainment.
It happens in politics.
But in the financials and the places like this, it doesn't.
What are you talking about? The head of Citibank is black.
Right. But you know what's funny? That's the bank that I'm talking about. And he knows that guy. And they're cool. So like, what? Why not ask that guy? Okay, what do I do? You got here. You're the head of Citibank. What do I have to do? You don't think that conversation happened? And what did the guy tell him? I mean, like I said, I don't want to. Because what I'm saying is, that head of Citibank got there. He didn't get there because they were like, let's just put a black guy here so we look good. Do you know how he got there? How did he get there? He got there because he impressed the right white man. You should read up on his story. Like he not saying that he's not an animal. He's a beast. He impressed him by being a fucking beast. Dude, look up. Like I would call Jay right now, and so he could recount the story to you. Yeah. But there is a whole. I'm not dissing that brother, by the way, either, because I never met him. Sure. But like I will call him right now so he can recount the whole story to you. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even trying to. What I'm saying is like when there's that much money on the line. This ain't some trading places, some shit. You know what I mean? When we're talking about billions and billions of dollars on the line, they only put motherfuckers there that are monsters. But they only think that the monsters come from their same tribe. They only then this black dude didn't come from their same tribe, did he? But dude, he didn't. But what he managed to do was to get in with one guy. That's how much of a monster he is. Okay, so what's your why strategy. That's strategy. Why don't we doing the same shit? Why don't we have more monsters? But we do. I think honestly that's the illusion. I think there's this illusion that we don't have more monsters, but I think we need to do more of a better job of looking at all the black people in these powerful positions, all the Latinos in these powerful positions, all the Scottish people in these powerful positions. Look at all the success stories so that we can see something that's relatable and attainable. I mean, because 99.999% of people aren't going to make it. Right. But there are people with that fucking maniacal drive, and I'm not knocking your brother, but they got that maniacal fucking drive. Like I said, I wasn't there. Well, what I will say, though, is that like familiarity in those situations and sort of like... It gets you to the middle. It don't get you to the top. You have to get to the middle before you can get to the top. And to that, and like you have to get to the middle before you can get to the top. I am absolutely in agreement. And a lot of times, even the type whiteness is your advantage to the middle. Right. Absolutely. And when you're not even getting to the middle, it gets tougher. I'm not making excuses. But the greats, regardless of their skin color, get there. I don't think that's true. I honestly, I know for a fact that that's true, just because of what we've seen in society and seen in our culture and seen the way that we've seen things go down as we are right now. The people that we see, right? So we know that the greats can get there. We know the greats can and do. There is an issue with getting to the middle, which everybody in a utopian society should have the same ability to get there. Well, I won't deny the fact that whites have an easier job of getting to the middle, right? But I will honestly, in my heart, go to my grave believing that if you are a fucking savage, great person at what you do, you are the best at what you do in America, you are the best, you will go to the top. Unless you have fucking drug problems or some shit like that. Right, so you will go to the top. So I will say this. I will say that the middle's whiteness. I will say that the top. I will say that I don't believe that. What I would say is that I think that America as we know it is a web of systems. It's a web of systems. And once again, these things don't even have to do with like viciousness and sometimes intent. Like in New York, there's a Harvard Club. There's a club for guys who went to Yale. There's a club for guys who went to Cornell. There's a club for guys who went to all of these places. Those guys sit down and drink brandy together and have dinner together, and they go out and they do outreach with younger kids, and there's all kinds of situations. Black people have to form those networks, and they have to form those networks and make entryways into those situations if we care about solidarity and moving up. Because no one's gonna give you anything.
Take it.
Or no one's even gonna give you the opportunity to take anything.
Take that opportunity.
If they do not relate to you.
Take it.
In the situation,
people relate to success. I grew up in a small business. Andrew,
if you go and start a hedge fund and your hedge fund knocks everybody's fucking head off, and then that's one thing. If you go and you start a hedge fund, but we're talking about a situation of hierarchy in America. You have to overcome culture. You'd have to. And every situation we're talking about is hierarchical situations.
I completely agree with you for the middle. I completely agree with you for the executive positions. I completely agree with you. But the top of the top, if you have that maniacal fucking Michael Jordan drive and you have the greatness to match that shit, you will get there.
So what you're saying, so by that, so there are no black studio heads.
Tyler Perry.
Well, he started his own studio.
Because he got that shit.
Devon Franklin.
Because he got that shit.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Well, head of ABC is black.
Tyler Perry started
black woman.
Tyler Perry started his own studio. ABC is a television programming situation. ABC is owned by Disney. Disney is a studio. Disney does not have a black studio head.
But ABC, a major network, is headed by a black woman.
Right. Okay. So my point by saying this is, do you think that in these situations, and when I said motion picture studios, I meant to say motion picture studios because like those 4 or 5 studios are the people that control the entertainment that we go to see.
The movies.
The movies which drive everything else. The
TV drives everything now.
ABC is a subsidiary of Disney.
What about it?
Well, ABC.
No, I understand.
The woman that you're talking about answers to a white guy.
I feel like anything.
Wait. The woman that you're talking about answers to a white man.
Does she?
Yeah, she does.
I don't think she has to answer to a white guy in her decision making.
ABC.
She is the head of programming, and she's the head of ABC, and it is her job to make decisions based on the head of ABC. It's not her job to.
Disney guy comes in and says, "Guess what? We don't like this. It's done." Or it says we need to reevaluate this is done.
Okay.
That's the way it works.
No, there's a board. That's not true. There's a board of people who are the head of the company, and that board can make decisions on who they hire. There's not just some guy who comes down.
There's a board that votes on a bunch of things.
Yeah.
But the reason why they have a guy that's at the head of it is so that the guy has some unilateral power to exert influence because the Ari Emanuels and the guys of this, Ari Emanuel runs WME, but the Brad Grays and all of those guys like that, they're there because they've been doing it for so long.
But don't take away her power. This is an incredibly powerful position.
I love that she's there, and I'm not taking away her power. Well, what I'm saying is, when we talk about America being a meritocracy, do you feel like black people?
Not completely.
Not completely.
Again, all I'm discussing, and I want to make this very clear, is that top. That greatness and the maniacal effort to go, you can get there, and if you can't get there, you will find your own way. Like Tyler Perry found his own fucking lane. If you can't get there to create,
Tyler Perry is doing what I'm talking about doing. Tyler Perry is saying,
and I'm not.
Tyler Perry is doing what I'm talking about. Tyler Perry is saying, you know what?
Y'all won't let me do this. I'm gonna do it myself.
I can grow something out of that.
Hey, and you know what? I'm all about that as well. All I'm saying is if you have that maniacal drive, because I consider him a studio head because he has his own studio.
Right.
So
I mean, he has his own studio, but Lionsgate distributes his movies.
Okay, but he makes that choice, right? He could go to another distribution saying, "Hey, listen, I'd like you to distribute my movies."
Right.
He
Tyler
talks
Perry
to Lionsgate.
Unbelievably powerful.
But let's not put Lionsgate above them. He gives them the opportunity to distribute, and other companies would gladly take his movies as long as they're doing well.
Right.
It just comes down to the work.
My point is, while we're having this discussion, it's important to know that yes, with the powers in our hands, but what I want you to do, and the question I keep trying to pose to you is, why are things so deficient then? Do you feel like black people are not working hard enough? Or are we not driven to the point? Are we not talented? So what's going on? Why can't we find the representation in these top spots that we feel like we should have?
I think that, again, we're talking about, I think it's easier if you're a white person to not only get to the middle, but like you said earlier, when you're at the middle, you can fail up easier as a white person. I do think that
there's also more white people.
There's absolutely.
But we're underrepresented by percentage as well.
Okay.
Like it's 60% white people in America. It's 13% black people.
Sure. So, and there's things that you're overrepresented in entertainment as well. So in terms of actual percentages, faces on television, these types of things like that, people of color black people are overrepresented in a lot of things as well.
Well, just recently.
We are in recently. Yeah. We are in now. We can only discuss,
recently,
but we can only discuss now.
Right.
So
well,
now,
no. We can discuss the entire history of.
Sure, but if we're talking about an issue now, which is representation,
the systemic issues that we're discussing have existed since the beginning.
Sure, but Van, we're talking about the state of the entertainment industry now, right?
No, we're talking about the state of the entertainment industry. Period. Because
I'm talking about it now.
The reason why
I'm not going to talk about the state of entertainment. Let me just finish. I'm not going to talk about the state of the entertainment industry when we were in a much more prejudiced time in terms of entertainment than we are currently now.
Did that much more prejudiced time take place like 5 years ago? Because what I'm saying,
it could have.
No, so my point is there could be a time. There was a time when boy bands were hot. Then there was a time when they weren't hot.
So you think
we can't be what we can't be is trendy. What we have to be is solid. It can't be cool to put on a black show.
Everything is trends.
Well, no, it's not. You know what's not?
You don't
trends?
think?
You know what aren't trends?
Yeah.
White sitcoms. They've always been.
Actually, that trend is over.
How is it?
White sitcoms are dead. There's no white sitcoms coming out anymore. Matter of fact, no. The Big Bang Theory.
The Big Bang Theory.
To be very clear, the Big Bang Theory is a nerd sitcom
with white people on it.
Sure, there are white people on it. There's also an Indian dude on it. There's also a lesbian chick on it.
Like How I Met Your Mother. Being a lesbian doesn't disqualify you from being white. How I Met Your Mother. We can go back for
How I Met Your Mother's done. How I Met Your Mother's done. So we're talking about now, not before. Talk about current.
Right.
Talk about current. Tell me your current sitcoms.
I don't know. You tell
exactly. Let's name shows. Because we can all name shows. Right. Let's just talk about current shows right now.
Current shows that are on right now.
Yeah.
Or like on HBO. Power is
let's talk about HBO. The night of. The lead is a Pakistani kid. Co-starring. I don't even know what the white guy is.
Game of Thrones, Silicon Valley, True Detective.
True Detective's not on anymore.
Well, okay, Andrew.
It's not. It's not on anymore. And Silicon Valley has what's it called?
Silicon Valley is a bunch of white dudes. It's
an Indian dude.
It's a bunch of white dudes, girls, all white people. Like the fact of the matter is
okay. So then we have Power. Then we have what's it called? We have Power. We have Empire. Mm-hmm. We have
Blackish to Carmichael's. You have a lot of shows now.
Blackish, Carmichael's. No, let's keep it going because if you want to go just percentages, because we want to do math here. We go Blackish. We have Carmichael's. Right. We have Shonda Rhimes' show Scandal. We have Shonda Rhimes' show How to Get Away with Murder. Right now, let's try to name the same amount of shows because we easily rifled off black shows.
You know how I can name the same amount of shows?
Go.
Every other show.
Now you have to ready? No, Van, wait for it. You don't have to name the same amount. You have to name 4 more times. 4 more times. You have to name 4 more times.
Go by percentages.
We're going by the percentages. I need 4 more times.
What I can name is
go.
Every other show.
Name. Well, I need you to name them.
To be honest with you, I don't watch that much TV.
Exactly.
But
you can't name them.
The fact of the matter is
you can't name them. If you can't name them, I don't want to hear the argument. Unless you, I'm not gonna sit here and listen to you. Stop it, Letty. I'm not gonna sit here and listen to you tell me how much TV lacks diversity when you can't even prove your argument. You can't even prove your argument.
Well, first of all, I can prove it because the fact of the matter is I can't
break it down.
The reality is, like every other major network show that we're talking about on most of the channels, like Outlander, like let's go to A&E, like every billboard that I see. Everything that I'm talking about, I still see white faces.
I need 4 times more if we're going off percentages.
So you watch TV? You watch a lot of TV?
No.
You don't watch a lot of TV?
I don't.
So you don't know what's on television right now?
I only know Game of Thrones. I love The Night of. Everybody should check that out. It's on HBO. It's a fucking incredible show. And then I don't watch any network TV at all.
Right.
So I don't know. I only know Power because I see 50 Cent post on Instagram and I follow him. I only know Empire because Charlamagne was on an episode and I heard a lot of people talking about it on Twitter. Outside of that, I know some MTV shows.
My point is, you named the shows with black leads. The reason why you were able to name the shows with black leads is because they're so rare. The reason why you were
that's just what we talk about.
Wait a second. The reason why I was able to run off every single show, right? You and me were able to run off every single show that has a black lead, every single show that is black driven, is because there
wasn't every single. We can do so much more. It's because Black Ink Crew, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, Love and Hip Hop whatever, Love and Hip Hop whatever.
Those are all reality shows. Like
Uncommon Sense, which premieres, which is on every Friday.
My point is, the reason why you know those shows is because they're exceedingly rare, and the reason
they're not. They're not rare.
They're rare.
They are the shows that are spoken about in for me amongst my colleagues
because of what you consume. What you consume is hip hop and black culture.
Okay,
like the mainstream culture, society at large. They consume things that are more like mainstream.
Like what? NCIS?
To be honest with you, NCIS, all of those shows, when we talk about any of the procedurals, any of those situations.
NCIS has 4 main characters. One of them's black. That means you're doubly represented than you should be according to the statistics.
What are you talking about?
Bow Wow is one of the black dudes.
That's canceled, so you can't bring that one up.
Okay, what about the okay, so it was canceled. I didn't know Bow Wow got canceled.
But my point is CSI Cyber got canceled.
CSI Cyber
looking for work.
Okay.
Like Shad Moss is looking for work.
You called him Shad. You gave him his actor name.
He the one that said
Ballers on HBO. There's another show.
The Ballers is another show on HBO. Great. I think that if we ran down a list of shows on HBO, you'd see two shows that have black leads. Or which one did you say on HBO that have?
Night of is a Pakistani guy.
Night of has a Pakistani guy, and then Ballers has The Rock as the lead. Other than that, HBO is pretty much all white.
But then that would run true to the whole population of America being more white than being
if we're going
black.
off of percentages.
That's what he's stating.
But
if you want to go off of HBO's actual shows, technically that would be 2 shows with minority leads.
Because Brian Gumble.
Right? Oh, shit, I didn't even know that. Well, there's Brian Gumble. That's another show. Right. But if you want to go actual airing shows, so we have Game of Thrones, we have Girls is done. This will be the last season, but let's count it Girls. I don't know what else is in production. I can only think of 2 other shows that are currently on HBO. Oh, no, Silicon Valley.
We've already established.
But real quick, my point is, so it's now we have 2 to 3. It should be
Andrew.
2 to fucking
Andrew. We've already established. We've already established that that we don't know the shows. Because
we've established what we've established is the shows that we do know and the shows that affect popular culture, but the shows that we know, the shows that affect popular culture, right?
Wait.
Van, let me finish. Okay, fine. What we know is the shows that we know, right, are overwhelmingly more minority based than the percentages of this country dictate, right? Which, since those are the shows that we watch and know about, should reflect our idea of TV. If we only know these shows and we see minorities in all these shows, we must look at TV and start to go, wow, I think minorities are really well represented.
Right. Okay. So
because that's if I go to a restaurant and all they serve is Italian food, I'm going to go, well, shit, this restaurant got Italian food.
My point in this overall is that there are a lot of black shows on right now. There have been points in history where, like right now, like a lot of popular music is dominated by hip hop and stuff like that.
Sure.
To me, systems matter. Things that are sustainable matter. And as long as you have someone else making decisions for you, no matter who that someone is, be it like Shonda Rhimes is a great example of what we need to be doing.
Sure.
Shonda Rhimes got to where she got. And
Shonda Rhimes is the creator of Scandals, creator of How to Get Away with Murder, Grey's Anatomy, and many other amazing shows.
Systems matter. Yeah. Like, as long as someone besides you is picking the fads, you can come and go. If Gerard's show doesn't last, and if Blackish doesn't last, because we've seen this before. We've seen times where Martin has been hot. We've seen times where My Wife and Kids has been hot. We've seen times where New York Undercover. At one point, Fox had a bunch of shows. Fox had New York Undercover.
Sure.
Fox had Living Single. Fox had a bunch of shows. Fox had Martin. They had all of these shows at the same time.
Where was Dharma and Greg on?
Jamie Foxx show. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Right,
sure.
All of these shows. And then once those shows went away, we saw a drought of black representation for a very long time, to the point that it became a problem. And now we've seen that swing the other way. My point is, until you can control the system that is in place that sort of denotes whether or not you're represented or not represented, you're at the mercy of somebody else saying that you're a fat.
The only thing that denotes that is if people are watching the show.
That's not true.
That's absolutely true. No show gets taken off air because too many people are watching it. And you know that for a fact.
I know.
If too many people are watching a show, or tons of people are watching a show, they want to stretch that show as long as it possible.
The only way shows get on is that like the networks have interest to greenlight those shows. So the only way those shows. So right now we're seeing more shows on because Empire popped. So when we're
also seeing more shows on, maybe with color, because we have people of color in positions of power.
True. So
Shonda Rhimes, the head of ABC. I think there's a casting lady, or there's some Asian people in ABC, and you also see shows like Dr. Ken and Eddie Huang's show, Fresh Off the Boat.
My point is, those people are way more important to me than like even the argument that we're talking about.
But that's what I'm trying to say is these things are happening. Like now you see a lot more women in power. And what are we starting to see? We're seeing Ghostbusters with all female cast. We're seeing Mike and Dave's wedding thing where now the roles are switched. Instead of the two misfit guys, it's two misfit women. But regardless if it's a guy's idea or not, it is, you could say, quote unquote, trendy. But what we're starting to realize is that women really appreciate comedy and they want to see their voices expressed in comedy. And they're going out and spending ad dollars to see funny shit. When Bridesmaids came out and popped the fuck off and made as much money as it did, when that stupid singing movie with the girls, Pitch Perfect came out and made as much money as it did, when Mean Girls came out and made as much money as it did, all of a sudden execs who could think that women are fucking stupid or think they're really good, it doesn't matter. They start going, oh shit, this shit makes money. Make Ghostbusters all female. Make this all female. Redo this with chicks. It's this, that, the other. Right. And I think the same thing will happen with minority shows that have deep support, be it in the black community, the Asian community, the Indian community, whatever it is. And that's what it comes down to. This is a financial decision. And the more that black shows, real quick, the more that black shows and other shows of other minorities and women, the more they do better. Right. The execs that are females, blacks, and Asians that work on those shows will increase in their power positions, and they'll be able to give more opportunities to more minorities if they see
that they're worthy for it. And it all comes down to finances to a degree, but what it comes down, the most thing that I'm talking about is opportunity. What I'm talking about is opportunity, and right now we're seeing a rise in television, right? But a complete drought in film. We're seeing less black movies being made. We're seeing less black movies.
But what is that a reflection of? Film right now, the only thing that happens that are made, film movies cost hundreds of millions of dollars. The only thing that come out are proven products. So you have Marvel films, you have films that are popular book series like the Twilight ones, like the Hunger Games.
Those are only big budget films that are made. Plenty of smaller budget films are made.
Yeah, but smaller budget films are barely made at all.
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
The indie film scene has gone from, I mean, this is why TV is so great.
At the Oscars, every single year, the only thing that's represented are the smaller budget films.
That's not true.
So Brooklyn.
This year, what won?
Of everything. The Revenant one, like the Big Short one, actually.
Big Short, Revenant.
Spotlight one. That's a small budget film.
Besides, is not a small budget. It's got major actors who require good money. It's not an indie.
How much money did Spotlight make at the box office?
And Spotlight's still a book.
Right.
Spotlight's still an option book that had a powerful backing.
The point is, like, when we're talking about films being made, you're talking about box office. The only proven box office, the only that's always been the way that it is. They never threw hundreds of millions of dollars at smaller mid-level films. They always do it for
films weren't hundreds of millions of dollars. That's the difference. Is as films got increasingly more expensive to make, people didn't want to risk that kind of money on products that weren't pre-proven. So they started saying, okay, give me X-Men because I know that's going to work. Give me Hunger Games. I know that's going to work.
You're talking about a specific type of movie.
And what I'm trying to say is movies have shifted from, yes, there are the $1 million and $3 million indie films. But what I'm saying is,
I can tell you right now,
the big budget, let me just say something. The big budget films have turned into $100, $200 million films. And then those middle budget films that we used to see that were great films, the Usual Suspects, those types of films, they've turned into TV. And that's why we have Breaking Bad.
Actually, they actually don't exist anymore, right?
Well, no, they do it on TV. All those scripts have turned into television.
But my point is, they don't exist for black people.
for film, but they do. But look, they don't exist for film, but they do exist on TV. And who's on them on TV? Black people.
But there's a whole sector of the population that are TV and film actors and film directors, and there's a whole bunch of people that are film directors and film stars, and there are a whole bunch of people that work on television.
Yep.
The fact of the matter is, black people right now are being underrepresented in film. There is, and it's a major problem because they're trending up in television and down in film.
Okay.
My point is that there was a point, maybe there was a black film renaissance that happened maybe 15 years ago, like 10 years ago, with Your Love and Basketballs and Your Brown Sugars and Your The Woods, and it lasted for a while, and with The Brothers and with all those movies like that, it lasted for a while until the execs made the decision not to do those movies anymore.
But what about Kevin Hart? And The Rock?
My point is this: as long as executives who don't really have a vested interest in showing a diversity of entertainment make decisions for people, they will make decisions based on fads and based on like trends.
Sure.
There's no power in being trendy. There's power in being sustainable.
I understand.
So as long as
you want to be in the power position,
as long as you can sustain what it is that you're doing, there's power in it. As long as anytime someone else is making a decision, that's hot right now.
I get it.
That's right. Atlanta rap, not Atlanta, not so much Atlanta.
Trap music, but
stuff comes and goes.
I know, I'm with you.
Because there are executives at the top, they're saying, hey, get this new guy in.
Yeah.
And so the only thing that I'm saying is that from a black American standpoint, we have to take the power of being trendy away from people who don't quite get us.
Well, you don't have to take that away. You just have to get into power positions, and if that means
we have to make our culture not trendy. We have to make our culture like sustainable. We have to make what we're doing and our thought something more than what's in now, or something more that can be disposable. It can't be disposable. It can't be hot right now to have a bunch of black shows and then not hot in 5 years, because Seinfeld popped in 1997.
So how do you do that?
Huh?
How do you do that?
By investing in us.
That's what I'm saying. Once you have power, and once you have these positions, once you're the studio heads and you're in these positions to create these shows and make power, which is happening. Shonda Rhimes is the green light, which whatever fucking show she wants to make. Once you have these people that are creating and doing these things, which is happening as we're watching it, right? I don't think that this is an example. Me personally, I don't see this as an example of a trend. I see this as an example of progression. I see people are in these positions and making these decisions, and it's starting to reflect.
I desperately hope that it's progressing.
In two ways. Not only is it progression in terms of the people that are making the decisions, it's also progression in terms of the audience. The people making decisions are like, we want to put out more shows that represent minorities, and the audience is like, yo, that's what we want too.
Right.
What's up? Let's go.
But my like when you look at like Empire or Scandal, or the most important thing is what kind of game TV is. The most important thing is what's the next show. Like, and that's the thing. It's like, what's the next opportunity? And if Empire has a great 3-season run, because obviously what Empire was doing is starting to wane a little bit now.
Sure.
Is it like, you know what I mean? Power's still sensational, but like what Empire is doing is starting to wane a little bit now. How long does it take for the next Empire? Are we going to be a consistent force on television? And not even like that. Like, are we going to have consistent opportunities to tell our stories?
Sure.
That's a very important conversation to have. Whether or not there are 20 black shows on, once again, I'll say that we named the black shows that we know, and I will guarantee you that the other shows on the dockets of these channels have white leads and are run by white creators.
I bet you they are. But if we don't know what the fuck they are,
just because I don't know what they are doesn't mean that that's not the reality. So what I'm
but
saying,
it is your reality. What you know is your reality, dude. What if a tree falls in the woods but no one's there to hear it? Does the fucking tree fall?
I know, but what? So what you're telling me is, and let's.
What I'm telling you is, if we only know these shows and we watch TV,
we only know these shows.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. If you and I only know these shows and we've named,
that means that television is black.
No, because I think we've named more or less equal amounts white and black shows.
No, but what you're saying is, if in this conversation right now, if we only watch or know the black shows, because I invested
if it was based on the TV that I watched, I would think that the U.S. population is 50% white, 50% black.
Right, but you know that that's not true, because you know that that's not the
case. Meaning you guys are, in my world, overrepresented on TV.
I know, but your world is not the world. And if you look at this,
but my world is my world, and your world is your world. So there's no way you could look at yourselves being overrepresented on TV and be like, man, we're really underrepresented on TV.
See, this is what I'm talking about. That's like going to the gym every day and busting ass, and then saying you're the best basketball player in the world.
Yeah,
you know that's not true.
Yes,
it's like if I go to that gym that we went to, and I bust ass in that gym. Yeah, I know that I'm not the best basketball player in the world.
But you know that in your world, you're a very good basketball player.
Which doesn't really mean a whole lot in the real world. But
that's your community. That's what you see. Those are the things.
My point is, if I want to be in the NBA, if I want to be if I want to push myself to that excellence that you're talking about, the standard that I have to meet, what I have to keep in mind is the standard that runs America, and that's the NBA. And I would have to be viable there. And if I wanted more people to be viable there, I would have to find ways to make them viable.
But then you wouldn't be going to the gym. Then you'd be going to the NBA. So then you'd be watching all the shows that we're talking about that we don't watch. That's my point. If you came here and you sat down, you're like, listen, I have to sit there every single night and watch Matlock and not see any black people on it, and it bothers me. I'd be like, listen, I totally get it. You got a good point. And that show needs more diversity, this, that, the other. But if you and I know that the shows that we watch and the shows that we really fuck with and the shows that we influence us are minorities are represented and women are represented, I think that means that people of color are represented well on TV. It doesn't mean that they have to be in every show. We could watch Breaking Bad and love it, and we could watch Power and love it.
There's no doubt about the fact that right now, minorities are represented well on TV. There's no
okay. That's all I'm saying.
There's no doubt about that.
But you want to make sure it's a consistent thing, and you do that by getting positions of power.
What I'm saying is the only way to ensure that it lasts, to ensure that it's not a fad, to ensure that it's not the latest thing. Because, bruh, there's always something about black people that's the latest thing.
Sure.
It's always the latest form of this, the latest form of that. The only way to ensure that it's lasting is to put something that's a little bit more lasting, is to lay a foundation. And what I feel like in all of these situations that we talk about, in differences between the black experience and the white experience, or the black experience and the mainstream American experience, I don't just want to make it about a specific race of people. What we don't see are the foundations, the things that exist generationally. We always talk about the now when we talk about black people. We talk about the space that we're in currently. We don't see anything generationally. We don't see anything, and that's because there's a mentality that when one of us gets something, he beat the odds to such a degree. A lot of times going back to wherever you came from it's a harder deal. What we need to do is set generational systems. Things to where, and not even to establish dominance, but just to ensure that what it is that we're doing can't be overlooked. And that's socially, that's on TV, that's in culture, that's in entertainment, that's even in these movements. The one thing that happened, and I know that I'm rambling here, but the one thing that happened is civil rights. When civil rights happened, one reason why I'm so passionate is I had a grandmother and I had a grandfather that were involved in this. So a lot of the lessons that came from the 60s, that came from the 70s, were directly handed to me. So there was a whole point in the 80s and the 90s where there wasn't a whole lot of connection to what they were doing then. So they made a tremendous sacrifice, and then there was a whole chasm, a whole period where there was nothing to relate those people back to it except the history books. Those guys were gone, and then the guys that they were looking up to in the hood obviously were not socially motivated to that same degree by and large. I don't want to speak for every hood. I can only speak from where I'm coming from. So when we see these things, that's why I don't even like the term movement, because a movement goes someplace and then it stops. What we need generational dialogue. We need a situation to where we prioritize certain things in our communities for us, with the help of guys who get it and understand it. And we need to keep those things going. And that's teaching economics, that's teaching history, that's teaching representation, that's teaching all the different things that make up a community.
Do it like the Jews.
Do it like the Jews. Do it like the Jews.
That's the name of this app. Do it like the Jews.
Do it like the Jews.
It is. You know what I've noticed is very interesting is that every minority group looks at the Jews as an example of how to be a minority. right? They're like, they care about each other. They start their own businesses, and they use those businesses to, and they also work with other Jewish businesses, and they hire Jews. They do whatever they can to promote wealth, promote education, promote their own people, and they really take care of their own. Everybody says that about the Jews, and every minority group is, we got to do that. And also throughout history, everybody's hated the Jews. so it's like maybe it's
everything right,
and everybody hates them.
The fucking most.
It's so funny. It's like everybody's like, you gotta do it like the Jews. They care about each other, and then people are like, why do Jews only care about each other?
The only consistent group that's been like a lot of people have had it like white people and stuff like that.
Sure.
But there's been like several different types of motherfuckers that have fucked over the Jews. Like the Russians have, the Germans have, the Persians, and everyone has.
Sure.
You're right about that.
It's just a very interesting thing. There's the example, but there are the repercussions with it. Who knows? Anyway, dude, this was a great episode.
I loved it, bro.
I want to thank Letty and her titties for being part of it. She's not here right now. She got tired that we weren't talking about her titties.
She had to go get baptized again.
Yeah, baptized. Yeah. She called it the Lord's water, and I honestly thought it was a joke because she's so old. So I was like, are you talking about cum? Like, that's a cool way to talk about cum. I was like, I want to grow and call my shit the Lord's water. That shit is amazing. But anyway, dude, thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back next week. I think we got an interesting one next week. I don't want to say, who's going to come on, but I heard some Twitter rumblings about a very interesting episode, so make sure you tune in next week. Thanks a lot.
Shit.
What does Charlamagne always say at the end of every set? Oh yeah, if you think that we're really smart, we said some smart shit, that we're brilliant, then you're right. If you think we're complete dumbasses, then you're right too. This is the Brilliant Idiots. Thanks so much for listening. Peace. Thanks to Movement for sponsoring us today. I really appreciate you, Movement. Okay, it's MVMT. Remember, Movement began by selling online, where they were able to cut the middleman and provide an unbelievable price. All right, these watches look like they should be at least $400 to $500. Easy. Okay, but Movement has maintained their price point starting at $95. That's under $100. You can get a nice heavy watch. I'm all about weight with watches, probably because I don't know much about watches, but still, go to MV.